Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Ask a Scientist Gaming, where we combine mediocre gameplay with expert science, or as the case tonight, expert philosophy of science. I'm Ken Hansen, a professor in the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry at Florida State University. I'm a photochemist slash photophysicist. I shine light on molecules and materials, and I want to track what happens to that light energy, and I want to do something useful with that light energy. Make and break bonds, make electricity, make mechanical force, whatever it might be. Photons have a lot of energy, and I want to do something useful with that energy. But more importantly, joining me today is Dr. Michael Bishop. Mike, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
Sure. I'm Mike Bishop. I work in the philosophy department over at Florida State. My main interests are happiness and rationality. So how you think about important practical things in your life, and how you think about being happy so that you can manage it to be happy.
Nice. And what do you typically teach? What are your go-to classes?
My favorite class to teach is probably my reasoning and critical thinking class. I teach intro. I teach occasionally a moral problems class. Sometimes I'll teach upper level classes as well, philosophy of science, epistemology, but those are my usual classes.
Very fun. I like how you open with your interest is happiness and rationality. I feel like that should be everyone's interest.
Well,
Right?
this is one of my things about philosophy. People have the stereotype that philosophy is not practical, but if, from my perspective, philosophy is just about, how to think about important things and what we should do, and those are really practical questions.
That's fair. All right, equally important, what game are we starting with?
I'm going to start with Missile Command.
Missile Command. So this one goes back. So if you press 1 on the keyboard. All right, game time, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
You guys will have to let me know the volume. We haven't done Missile Command on stream before, so we'll see. But Mike, if you want to tell people what Missile Command is.
So Missile Command is a game that I played with my brother, and I was bad at it, as you can well, I'm actually good at it when it's really, really slow, but I was bad at it as a kid, and I played it back in the 80s when I'm thinking about things now.
No, that's the challenge.
And I played it in arcades, and you had to spend a quarter a pop, and I got okay at it, but the investment to get good at it was not something I was willing to do, both in time and energy.
So we've spent 1/4 so far. I challenge one of the viewers to figure out how much Mike spends during the entirety of this stream per game. What do you get? It's until all your bases are gone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I lost one base right there.
So for anyone curious, this was made by Atari Inc., released originally in June 1980. And so this was a stand-up arcade. And we're playing with a mouse, but you said originally you played with a roller ball, a trackball.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have been curious back in the day if they had a mouse technology, how this game would have gone.
Yeah, so I have this theory that there's two kinds of people in the world. There's people who are bad at multitasking, and there are people who are self-deceived.
So multitasking is not a real thing.
No,
That's what you're
I don't
advocating
think it's certainly not a real thing for me. And I can get, and you have to lead these guys, and that's something that, okay, so all right, I just lost.
There are some unique individuals with separate brain fission where they can write with each hand simultaneously, but
yeah,
I think most of psychology agrees you can't do multiple things.
Yeah, I can do this, which people find
blows their minds.
Surprisingly difficult.
Yeah.
You have one, people would say, I can do that, but it's one hand going one way and the other hand going the other way.
Yeah, that's fun.
Well, I became good at all sorts of tricks. When my kids were young, I became good at all sorts of tricks that will amuse a 7-year-old and will mortify a 13-year-old. So at both ages, my kids were sort of interested in what I was doing. Again, when they were 7, they were interested because I was very popular with their friends. When I would go to like the lunchroom, the table I was at would always get into trouble because the kids were screaming at the things that I was doing.
Nice.
And the teachers would get mad at the kids, and I felt like that was really unfair. And then when they were 13, it's like, Dad, you're not going to do a trick, are you?
How old are they now?
They're in their 20s.
How do they feel about your stupid human tricks?
I haven't asked them, but I think they would be. I think it would be pretty cool with them now, because then they could just turn to their friends, and rather than be mortified, they could just say, "See what I've had to deal with. You're lucky that I'm as reasonable as I am, given this poor father.
It could be worse.
Could be way worse."
All right, go ahead and press 1, and we'll keep diving into it. So yeah.
Okay, so we're back.
You have a high score now.
We're back at the easy part. See, now I'm leading it too much.
Yeah. It's too instinctive. That's fun. All right, so usually, and we'll get to the question about, your life, the various forks in the road that got you to where you are. But I think what I want to open with, just because, people think philosophy and they think white robes and Socratic and Platonic, sitting around thinking about the world, making shit up.
Yes.
That's obviously not what modern philosophy is. So if you had to briefly summarize modern philosophy generally, and then more specifically your domain of modern philosophy.
Well, modern philosophy today is, there's lots of different ways to do it, and there are fights about the right way to do it. I think the right way to do it is to have philosophy be informed by our best science, at least a lot of philosophical questions. So philosophers are interested in all sorts of questions. So when you think about happiness, which is what I do, and I'm going to start losing this game so I can speak cogently.
No worries.
So when you think about happiness, most philosophers, when they see what I do, they're like, "What the heck is that? It's interesting, but it's not really philosophy, or it's weird." Because I think what you should try to do is build a theory that makes sense of what the psychologists say about happiness and what the philosophers say about happiness. And most philosophers, they just want to build theories about what. Okay, I really lost quickly there. About what. About what they think. So they build theories about their intuitions about cases. So here's one. Here's I'm losing really badly now. Okay, I totally lost. So now I can talk about philosophy.
No worries.
So the question is. So here's a question. So if you were in the Matrix. So if your brain was in a machine and you were just being fed electricity and you weren't actually experiencing anything in the world, but you had exactly the same experiences as the actual you has, could your life be going as well for you? So imagine your twin, your exact twin, and you, except your twin is just sitting there in a blob in a machine, whereas you're living in real life. Can your twin has the same amount of happiness or have the same amount of well-being as you? And philosophers have big debates about this. And a lot of people have really firm opinions about, what's the right answer here. I actually am pretty wishy-washy. And so for me, the question is, what do you want from a theory? So one of my favorite sayings is has to do with a definition of a fanatic. So a fanatic is someone who, having lost sight of their goals, redoubles their efforts.
That's the fanatic threshold.
That's a fanatic.
I like it.
And so in philosophy, I think the first thing to do is to think about what are your goals in philosophy. So for me, the goal is, in the theory of happiness, to have a theory that can help you understand happiness so that you can actually learn to be happy. And not all philosophers think that's the right the right goal. They want to do something else. They want a theory that's beautiful, or they want a theory that fits with their intuitions. So so there's a lot of different, so modern philosophy, there's a lot of different ways of doing philosophy, and I would say that I think most philosophers think I do it wrong.
That's fair.
So I'll start. Sorry, I was.
I mean, so you say evidence-based philosophy. So using scientific insights, modern theories of basically anything.
So it's so here's the way to think about it. Here's the way to think about it. Are psychologists studying happiness when they do their studies? I think they are, but they're studying it in a different way from the way philosophers study it. And so what you really want, if you believe in in powerful theories, that is, theories that explain a lot, that make sense of more stuff, then what you want is a theory that makes sense of what the psychologists are doing and what the philosophers are doing, rather than just a theory that makes sense of the philosophers trying to build these beautiful theories that make sense of their judgments.
Nice. I like it when they fork.
Yeah, you want to get them before they fork. That's the trick.
The strat.
So, but yeah, philosophy. One of the nice things about philosophy, from my perspective, is that there's so much that philosophers are interested in. Philosophers write about everything from quantum mechanics to chemistry to psychology to sociology to art. So there's a sense in which everything that philosophy can cover anything, and that's one of the things that I really like about it. So you're a chemist. There is, believe it or not, something called philosophy of chemistry. Yeah, so I just totally lost. So did I get a high score for the nobody people who have played this game before?
You are the only one that has a score on this board.
Yes.
So there's your score. And
excellent.
You can put in your initials.
How do I?
I think it's going to be like scroll up and down. And
okay.
click. Well, so you have top 3. We count that. What I love is there's a speed run. If you're familiar with speed running, right? Beating as fast as you can or getting
right.
Mark as quick as you can. Missile Command, there is a record for getting 10,000 points as quickly as you can. And the record is 1 minute and 44 seconds. And so you're pretty close to 10,000 actually.
Huh.
Which is interesting. If they're going to let me do an emulator on here, we'll see. Should we see how long it takes you to get 10,000? Because you're close.
Yeah, but I won't be able to, I mean, we can give it a try.
And here's the thing. There's only 3 people on the scoreboard. So if you if you get any time, if you get to 10,000, you are in the top 4 speedrunners on Missile Command.
Wow.
So
okay, so just tell me when I should hit
1.
Hit 1, okay.
All right, everyone. If you guys have questions, throw those in chat. Mike and I are going to talk about a whole bunch of things throughout the evening while he starts out the game playing Missile Command. So who wants to do my electricity and magnetism homework? Snazzy? No one does.
Yeah.
But
it sounds like not even you.
It's man, electricity and magnetism. Is that a
no? I mean,
class?
not even the person who asked that wants to do it.
Is that a physics class? It sounds like an intro physics 2 type thing about this distance in the semester, or it could be a grad class, in which case I could not help you at all. Snazzy, thank you for joining us. If you have questions for Mike, you can answer them. He will do his best on. It's calc-based physics 2, so introductory physics, the second iteration of that, which is fun. Electricity and magnetism are important. If you're a student at FSU, that's even more fun because we have the grave of Dirac is actually half a mile away from us right now. So yeah, electromagnetism, the rules of electromagnets, they have some origin in history at Florida State University. So think of that while you're doing your homework, Snazzy. That makes it fun. All right, Mike, I'll start with my question I open with. We've defined what physics is, or what modern philosophy is, and your interest in the area, but it's a long and winding path. 6-year-old Mike did not think he would be sit here playing Missile Command while talking about his expertise in philosophy and trying to go after 10,000 points as quickly as he possibly can. Presumably, there were many forks in the road, many decisions you made, many interests that, could have gone one way or the other, but led you to the particular path you're at right now. And so, starting with 6-year-old Mike, do you remember those milestones? What were those first interests in philosophy, first interests in science? How did you get to where you are today?
With a lot of the way I'm almost at 10,000. All right, there you go. Got to 10,000.
Holy cow. Look at that. You just needed some pressure. I have no idea how long that took you, but
I thought I got to quit.
No,
I got to quit.
You hit the score threshold, but you got to keep going.
I would say that the way I became a philosopher is I was bad at a lot of things, but I was interested in trying a lot of things. But I was bad at almost all of them. So these guys, I remember, those guys were bad.
That was brutal.
Yeah, those guys.
Hard.
Yeah, those guys were bad. You had to hit them exactly on target. So I played a lot of sports, and I was very mediocre in all of the sports. I played music. I played the keyboard. I played guitar. I was in bands, and I was always the worst musician in our bands. In fact, my friends told me that I could play the guitar if I wanted, but I couldn't sing the background. Not
even the background.
I know, it's sympathy for the devil. They wouldn't let me do the hoo-hoos, which was really bad. And so I just kept trying things and not being very good at them, but just trying a lot of things. And when I got to college, well, actually in high school, I went to Spain and studied Miguel de Unamuno, who, the thing about me is my mom's from South America, so I'm bilingual. And he was the first philosopher that I read in any detail. I didn't understand him worth beans. I'm not sure I still understand him, but that was my first interest in philosophy. And when I went to college, the first class I took summer before my freshman year was a philosophy class with a professor who is still a friend and who I followed to graduate school.
Wow.
So when I was in college, I went through 5 different majors.
Ooh, what are the 5? Let's hear them.
So I was a biology major for a while. I think I was physics and poli-sci for a while. I was not good enough at math to really stick with that. Then I think then I went to philosophy, and then I was going to go to law school. And I said, I'm not sure I want to go to law school quite yet. So I went to graduate school in philosophy, and I said, I'll stick with it until either I don't think I can do it, or until I don't like it, and then I'll go to law school. And I'm still waiting, so it's still possible. I might abandon philosophy yet.
All right, we should start another game, but before you do, I'm going to put up a timer. If you want to see the time, we're gonna see how long it takes you to get 10,000 points.
Oh,
give me a second. I'm gonna put the timer up so the audience can see it. We're doing this for fun, ladies and gentlemen. This is not serious speedrun attempts. With that said, you're gonna be top 5 if we submit this. All right. Whenever you're ready, press 1. And it's the current world record for speedrunning this to 10,000 points is 1 minute and 44 seconds. Third place is 1 minute and 48 seconds. We're going to see how Mike does on his attempt. We won't ask him questions during this. With that said, we have Popcorn 123423. Thank you for the first time chat. Thank you for joining us. Ooh, this is fun. Here's a causal argument for him. Professor Bishop talks slowly when he plays video games, so playing video games causes him to talk slow.
Ooh,
Ooh,
this
do you wanna-
this sounds to me like a student. Yeah, video games talks me to talk slow. It causes me to talk slow. It causes me to think slow. Not only slow, but it causes me to think worse. So
But I like this. So presumably in your class you would deconstruct this, right? If talking slow, whether it's causation or correlation.
yeah, so that's one of the things we do is talk about what evidence counts. What you need, what sort of evidence you need for a causal claim. So yeah, so what kind of evidence you need for a causal claim. And if a student has heard me talk, or if you guys were listening to me talk without playing the game, and I talk much slower playing the game, then you have good evidence that it's the darn game that's causing the problem. But what's crucial is having that comparative evidence.
Yeah, the control.
Yes, the controlled evidence. So in fact, I have some.
Oh man, you already crossed it. I missed the threshold.
I have some ditties for. I have some ditties. I'm going to lose this one, so I'm not going to concentrate on this one. So I have some ditties for good reasoning about causal.
Nice.
Yeah. It didn't end up with anything. So causal arguments have holes if they don't have controls. It was one of my ditties.
That's a good one.
Yeah, another one is, well, when I was young, I used to write ribald limericks, and now I try and use my powers for good. And so I write limericks for my reasoning and critical thinking class. And so one of my favorite ones, which has to do with the confirmation bias, let me see if I can get it right. It's one of the more complicated ones, is high standards, low standards for my views, high standards for yours, make us bad thinkers, extremists, and bores.
I like it. That poignantly summarizes confirmation bias. I like it.
Yes, and a lot of what goes on in our political discussions today.
This is heavily supported by evidence.
Indeed,
Yeah.
indeed.
And it's not even necessarily conscious decision making, right? It's subconscious. It's
No, in fact, I think it's very natural. One of the things that I try and teach my students is how to detect bad but persuasive arguments. And for better or worse, one of the things I think I end up teaching my students is how to formulate bad but persuasive arguments.
Ooh, that's
right?
fun. Yeah,
because if you can detect them, then you can formulate them. It's really easy to formulate them. And so the question is, how do you teach students to be able to defend themselves against arguments that seem really persuasive but aren't? And more importantly, how do you get them to explain to other people that the arguments that they've proposed aren't good arguments in a way that will persuade them that they're not good arguments? So this is one of the things that I'm particularly interested in.
That's fun. And you talk about this in the introductory, the introductory philosophy class?
It's mostly in the reasoning and critical thinking class. Okay. The introduction, so in the introduction class, one of the topics I touch on is what I think is the most important philosophical issue facing us today, and that is, if you think about political debates, if you're on one side of, typically one side of political debates, you often wonder how the heck can people on the other side believe what they do? And often people will think, well, they've somehow been hoodwinked. So let's suppose that this is true, that, some people are at the end of fairly clean information streams and other people are at the end of somewhat polluted information streams. And some people are being hoodwinked and some people are not. Well, here's the thing. We are all, no matter where you are on the political spectrum, you are absolutely confident that you are not the hoodwinked ones.
Yeah.
The hoodwinked people are all those people who disagree with me. So for me, the interesting question is, how do you know that you're not the one who's hoodwinked, right? What is it that's true about you? Now, if you appeal to just how confident you are that you're right, that's not going to do it, right? I mean, because you know what con is short for in confidence game, right? It's short for confidence, right? So confidence is exactly what con artists are looking for in people that they're going to snooker.
Marks, yeah.
So, and yeah, that's right. So how do you know that you are not the person being snookered? So I have a solution to that, but I think a lot of the solutions that people come up with are really bad solutions. So, for example, one bad solution is, well, I win a lot of arguments. Right? I win a lot of debates.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's really easy to win debates if you cheat.
Oh, yeah. Just watch Ben Shapiro.
There you go.
What's the Gish Gallop? Is his professional fallacy?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's where you just keep saying enough wrong things that the opponent can't correct you.
Oh, yes. Is this Dwayne Gish?
I don't know. I don't know the origins of it.
So Gish was a creationist who is famous for arguing. In fact, he beat in the 70s. He beat a guy named Doolittle in debate, and it was Dwayne Gish.
Yep.
And he could crush people in these debates about creationism versus evolution. Until he ran into a philosopher of science who was my old teacher. Philip Kitcher, I think in the late 70s, he was teaching at the University of Minnesota, and he was the first person to crush Dwayne Gish in debate. And I've had a number of I had a friend who actually died a few years ago who also crushed him in debate. And what he did, and all they had to do is see what his material was and respond to, because he had bad but persuasive arguments that were really hard to undo if you were hearing them for the first time.
But they're always the same.
That's right. They were always the same. And so if you were just well prepared and you had, you knew what to say, then you could beat him.
But even if you know that, if somebody's saying, they very quickly jump to 10 false things in a minute, and it takes you 2 minutes to debunk each one of those, you've lost some of the points.
That's right. And that's one of the
we should keep going.
That's one of the things about cheating, right? Is that you have to be just on the offensive all the time. If you're constantly on the offensive, and you make the other person respond to you, then see, if it was always this speed, I could probably talk philosophy.
No worries.
So yeah, if it's I don't even remember what the heck we were talking about.
No worries. I got to acknowledge some people. I don't know how to say this name. Eutychus?
Oh yeah.
Eutychus.
I think I know him.
Is that how you'd say it?
Yeah, that's how I'd say it.
Eutychus the seventh, I'm assuming, VII, but I don't know for sure. Eutychus, thank you for the follow. Thank you so much for joining us. If this is your first time, feel free to put things in chat. But Eutychus has actually requested a factoid. So
okay.
A knowledge bomb you want to drop on the audience. And Eutychus, then please feel free to do so.
Let's see. What were our factoids?
Yeah, just any knowledge bomb you want to drop. I mean, this could be, a cheetah runs at 35 miles per hour or whatever it may be.
Let's see, what were my factoids? Okay, so here's one. So let's see. The moon illusion. How about we do the moon illusion?
Let's do it.
The
Sounds
moon
like fun.
illusion. So you know the moon can be can appear very large in the sky, and
Cross 10,000 again.
And it's because when it's on the horizon, it seems farther away, and things that are farther away, if they take up the same amount of room on your retina, they seem bigger if they seem farther away. And so the moon illusion, when the moon looks really big, you can tell people it's not really bigger than it normally is. And the way to show them that, and some people won't like this because it sort of takes away some of the magic of the big moon, is to just look at the moon through make your fingers into a telescope, make your hand into a telescope, look at the moon, and all of a sudden it'll look really small.
Yeah, without the frame of reference.
Without the frame of reference.
Yeah.
So that's there's one factoid for you, that when the moon looks really big, it's not really big. It's just your visual system messing with you, and you can fix it by just doing a hand telescope.
So how do you feel that the implementation of that rationality takes away from people's happiness?
Ooh, yeah.
You have to wrestle with that dichotomy.
Well, there is this idea in psychology. It's controversial that it's known as depressive realism, and that is that people who are most accurate about the world are also depressed or more sadder. So they're sadder but wiser.
Yeah.
And
is that evidence supported?
There's some, but it's not. It's the last I checked, it's controversial. So I remember a well-known psychologist once told me that there was this study where people would get together and they would talk to each other, and then each person got asked, how well do you like the other people, and the only people who were accurate about how well other people like them were the clinically depressed. Now, I actually don't think that stood the test of time.
Okay.
But
thankfully.
Yeah, but I do think that that it's good maybe not to investigate too closely what your colleagues really think of you.
Yeah.
And so yeah, this is something that I live by.
That's what peer review is for, right?
Indeed.
All right, Mike. So anyone that's just joining us, Ask Scientist Gaming, mediocre gameplay, expert science. Guest tonight is Mike Bishop. Mike is a professor in the Department of Philosophy, does philosophy of science, and particularly interested in happiness and rationality. But we're doing an alcohol sampler tonight. So every time a guest is on stream every other Wednesday night, I ask them what they want to drink. And Mike said, let's try a bunch of different beers. And so that's what our journey is going to be tonight. We started out with Bucket Hat. Sorry, it's a green can, so the green screen is making it black, but there it is, Bucket Hat. This is a German-style Pilsner brewed in Oklahoma, 5% alcohol. We just split it. How do you feel about the
I like that one.
The Bucket Hat?
It was a good starter.
I agree. That was very gentle.
Yeah, it was a very gentle starter.
So what do you want to go to next? We have we could go to the extreme of a double IPA.
There you go. See, if it just stayed that speed, I'd be able to talk and play. My wife said that she wanted you to feel the pain of me getting frustrated when you were talking to me and while I was trying to do something, like play this.
All right, the next one we're going to is Equilibrium. There it is. You can see Einstein right there. It says MC squared right there on the cover art. Beer balanced by science. It's a double IPA. So this one is 8% alcohol. So are you ready for this?
I think I am.
It's
which
called
one is this?
This is Equilibrium.
Oh, yeah. You lose your equilibrium on
I
equilibrium.
mean, I think it's going to happen. Cow lover, surprise Bishop hasn't been a turd in the punch bowl yet.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
This is definitely a student.
I was going to say there's a backstory, and that is not
Yeah.
a casual wording.
Well, one of the things I tell my students is that if you become a good critical thinker, you won't necessarily, this isn't necessarily going to make you popular.
Oh yeah, you're not fun at parties.
Yeah. And I've had a number of, right, you point out, because if you're good at being a critical thinker, what you're good at is being able to explain to people why their arguments are no good. And people seldom
Everyone loves that.
That's right. That's right. So if you're at a party, yeah, so this is sort of, it's quite a power, but with great power comes great responsibility. So you need to know when to use this particular power. But
Read the room.
exactly.
No, that's fair. All right. Chat, the learned men are getting litty. That's crazy. Yes. Oh man, how often do you Google slang that you hear from students? It's getting more prevalent.
Well, I think they're kind to me, and so they don't use it a lot. Although in the last homework assignment that I asked my students to do, I asked them to sort of give examples that somebody my age wouldn't understand. Oh my Lord. And they did a really good job. And it was clear to me that they are just being really kind to me when they talk to me and not using all these words that I just really don't know what they mean.
What are the chances are they were just making things up to mess with you?
Well, the funny thing is that I'm using these examples on the quizzes that I give to them.
Know. Yeah.
So if it is gobbledygook, everybody's going to get a bad grade. So yeah.
That's fun. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. So we do predictions on stream, and I'm going to pop one up. This is just kind of fun. Speaking of getting Liddy on stream, we're going to do a factoid about Mike. And so we're going to see what you students and or audience members have learned from him playing Missile Command. So if you want to keep going, I'm going to pop up this question right now. This is a historical question regarding Mike, particularly in grad school. And if you guys aren't familiar with Twitch predictions, they're questions that we ask the audience, and typically it's video game related. Well, like, will Mike beat this 10,000 points in under 2 minutes or something like that? Instead, on our stream, we have our guests write questions for you guys. And so these questions are based on their lives, but also based on their expertise. And so we're going to pop a question up about Mike. It's going to show up on the top of your screen. You're going to have 2 minutes to answer this question. Click the predict button right now and answer. In grad school, others thought Mike looked like Peter Pan or the Cat in the Hat. Is there any more context you want to give to that?
It was, well, it happened. It happened in a class where back in the days when you would give students evaluations that they had to fill out by hand, and I popped my head back in while my students were filling out the student evaluation, and when I popped my head in, they all laughed. And I'm like, what the heck was that about? They must have agreed that I'm a terrible teacher or something like that. And one of the students said, we all laughed because we realized that what one of the students had said about who you look like is true. And awesome. It was one of these two.
So the answer is either Peter Pan or Cat in the Hat. Depending on your degree of confidence, you guys can bet more or less standard internet units. It's actually, confidence based, which is kind of funny. That's that's a game theory exercise right there. So depending on your guys' confidence, and I would usually give a disclaimer about you can't cheat with Google or ChatGPT, but I don't think you're finding this answer on the internet.
No.
But after this video, everyone will know.
I did offer to give my students extra credit once if they could tell me what my middle name was.
Oh, hints just.
No, well, yeah. I mean, you can see it on my work. You have an initial, but they don't. They can't. They have a hard time. And the reason is that my middle name is just A.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's fun.
My parents wanted to give me the middle name Angel, Miguel Angel is a very common name, and or at least somewhat common name, and is the name of my grandfather. But my father, who is American, said, I don't think it's a good idea to name him Angel. He's going to get beat up in school.
Yeah.
So they just gave me A and said,
Compromise.
and you can make a decision when you turn 21. And I decided to just leave it.
Yeah. I mean, how often do we use our middle name other than publishing an initial, right?
Exactly. But the thing is that a lot of editors, they put the period after the A, and I say, you don't have to do that.
Indexing nightmare for the journal publishers.
Oh, yeah.
You have to look up both versions with and without the period. That's amazing. All right, Mike, what is the answer? Grad school others thought you looked like?
It's the Cat in the Hat.
The Cat in the Hat. What's interesting is 87% of the betting went towards Cat.
And this was before I had I should have said this was before I had the facial hair.
I'm genuinely curious how the audience knew that. I don't know.
Yeah. I wonder if it was the facial hair. Because when I was in graduate school, I didn't have the facial hair. So, and I was much more, had sort of a baby face. So, yeah, but yeah, definitely. Most of them got it right.
That's awesome. Congratulations on your 1.15 to 1 payout. Everyone bet heavy on the Cat in the Hat. Congratulations. Wow. It's all pride and standard internet points. But note, if you're not following us, click the follow button. You'll get your standard internet points. They don't matter for anything outside of the stream, but they do let you unlock a emote. They make us take a drink. You can, I don't know, comment. You can... I don't know, what else can you do with them? Request a factoid, we have those. But yeah, if you're not following, click the follow button. We'd like to see our numbers go up, but also use those standard internet points wisely. All right, Contra, welcome back to stream. Contra says howdy, and thanks for guesting for us, Dr. Mike, a bishop. Also, I love Missile Command, great choice. Contra, fun fact, you can be top 4 in the world in Missile Command if you speed run it on MAME emulator. If you guys want to see the scoreboard, I can pop that up real quick. There you go. There's the speedrun category. Fastest time somebody's gotten to 10,000 points is 1 minute and 44 seconds. Slowest time reported here is 1 minute and 48. Mike, I think you did it in like 2 minutes and 6 seconds or something like that. So on the scoreboard, we will count it. So if you want to keep going or you want to switch games, it's totally up to you.
The next game, I'm sort of worried that it's going to be... yeah, I'm happy to keep playing this.
Well, so I'm going to suggest we should break it up and we'll go Mario Kart next.
Okay.
Let's jump forward in time.
Okay,
and then
we're way back in time.
Yeah. It'll be a nice contrast for everyone involved. Contra, thank you for the sub. You don't have to sub, but we really appreciate it. It does help with our drinking habit. It supplies alcohol for our guests, so I really appreciate it. Contra, whoa, I used to have one of the top 5 score on Xbox Arcade for this game, but it wasn't a speedrun scenario, just a score. Interesting. You should definitely check it out. Just download the MAME emulator and find just a version of the 1980 Atari Missile Command. Minute 48 seconds. There you go. The news looks really retro today, like in general, like news reports. That's intriguing. So did you take it personally when they said you look like the Cat in the Hat?
Well, it's funny. I did actually was one of the few people I think in the world who never liked the Cat in the Hat, and so I did not like it because when I was young, when I was very young, people said I looked like Steve McQueen, which is pretty good. I'm talking like 8 years old. They said I looked like Steve McQueen. And then they said I looked like Michael Sarrazin, which nobody is going to know who that is, which is a step down, but still not bad.
The evolution continues.
And so then to the Cat in the Hat, from my perspective, I was just on the serious downward slope. And so for me, it was like really depressing. But then I called my dad, and I told him, my student said I looked like the Cat in the Hat. And my dad says, well, yeah, you sort of do. So
thanks, Dad.
I couldn't, yeah. So I had to accept it.
Matt isn't a Robert had to explain the joke to me. The news looks really retro today. I just mean Missile Command looks like the news.
Oh, nice. Yes.
Cheers.
Yes.
That isn't
Good
a
one.
Robert.
Good one. Yeah.
Oh, too soon? Is it too soon?
Yeah. Well, let's hope that that people are better at protecting cities than me.
Yeah, the golden dome, as it were.
Indeed.
All right. Amy Weibo says 3054 Bishop should give an example of one of our recent topics, like the Mike Tyson problem. So, what is the Mike Tyson problem?
Mike Tyson problem is actually relevant to the one of the factoids that I was going to present. So the Mike Tyson problem is basically, Mike Tyson famously said that everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
And so for me, the Mike Tyson problem is similar to the Gish, whatever.
Gish Gallop. Yeah.
Yeah. A good critical thinker will often lose debates to somebody who is really good at coming up with bad but persuasive arguments. And it can be really difficult to hold the line, to hold to your plan when you're consistently getting punched in the mouth rhetorically. So, for example, my go-to example, it's a silly example because I try to make my critical thinking class, while I think it's relevant to politics, I try to not make it at all political. And so I say, suppose I wanted to con you about Komodo dragons, right? So that's totally apolitical. And I want to try and convince you that Komodo dragons breathe fire and shoot lasers out of their butts. So that's my go-to example. Now, how do you avoid being conned about this? And especially if the con artist has really persuasive arguments, right? So, you know, it doesn't take, it's not hard to come up with a, so suppose I say, look, there's the spiny back Komodo dragon that people haven't discovered yet. And, but a few intrepid, intrepid travelers have discovered the spiny back Komodo dragon. It turns out it breathes fire. And they have pictures online, and you've got PhDs who support this, and you've got all this evidence, and you go online and you give all this evidence and you explain how it's, and it can be really difficult as the person keeps pummeling you with more and more evidence for the spiny back Komodo dragon that breathes fire. It can be difficult for you to say, well, no, the experts don't think that, so I'm not going to think it either. Because they keep pummeling you with evidence. And then they say, what, do you think I'm stupid? Do you think I'm naive? Are you totally closed-minded? Why don't you're not even looking at the evidence? And it can be really, really difficult to avoid being conned when the other side has, you know, when it's, especially when it's a scientific issue, right? When it's a complex, you know, the more complex the scientific issue, the easier it is to be conned. And so, so again, if you think about somebody who is just extremely well informed about the spiny back Komodo dragon, which doesn't exist because I made it up, somebody who's extremely well informed about that, you know, well informed in scare quotes, they will just crush you, even though you're really smart, because you're not a herpetologist, right? You're not an expert in that. And so, you know, they keep showing you evidence, and if for you to say, no, I'm not going to buy that. Why? Well, because experts on the topic have not come around yet on the spiny back Komodo dragon. When they do, I'll come around too. But until they do, I'm just digging in my heels. And you seem like you're closed-minded.
Yeah, exactly.
You seem like you're closed-minded. You seem like stubborn. It seems like you're arrogant because you're not willing to take on board new evidence and evaluate the new evidence. And yet, in my opinion, even though it doesn't seem like you're the humble one, it might seem like the other person is the humble one, right? Because the other person is saying, hey, I'm willing to admit I'm wrong. I'm willing to admit I might be wrong. I'm just trying to be fair and consider both sides of the spiny back Komodo dragon issue. You're not even looking at the evidence. Who's the one who seems arrogant? Well, you seem arrogant. But in fact, in my opinion, it's the person who has closed their mind on this issue. Close their mind in the sense that they're not willing to take on board new evidence because the experts haven't come around. And so I think that in that situation, the person who who has a closed mind is actually the humble one, is the intellectually humble one, because they're not willing to allow their inexpert opinions, their inexpert judgments to defeat or overwhelm the judgment of the vast majority of experts on the particular topic.
No, that's fair. Contra says, appeals to emotion are a red flag. Contra also said, the system you're describing is one of the banes of my existence, which is fair. But we should start another round.
Okay.
If Matt isn't a Robert has a good point. Maybe this is War Games Play Well. Which I'm old enough to get that reference.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Who is that? Matthew Broderick.
Matthew Broderick.
Ali Sheedy,
That's right. Nice.
Yeah.
Yes. In fact,
The only way to win is to not play.
yeah. In fact, when this was a long time ago, people used to play. They might still play. Like, what movie star would you want to play your life? And for me, it was Matthew Broderick. Do you have a view about who you'd want to play your life?
Man, I do not know. That is a really good question. I don't think I've ever been asked. Chat, where were you on that? You're falling through on these questions. It's really fun.
Have you gotten weird? By the way, have you gotten weird things from your students about who you look like in teaching evaluations?
Not in teaching evaluations. I've got stuff about how I dress, and I should be sponsored by certain companies because I always wear their shirts.
Nice.
So I have had those comments. Is it nice? I don't know. All right. Contra has a question. Dr. Bishop, I'm a huge Hofstadter fan. And so my question is, where do you sit on the idea that the fundamental of cognition exists in the capacity to form analogies? So
Hofstadter.
Hofstadter.
Yeah, he was. I think
like a strange loop, and
he was. I think he was at Indiana for many years, and he co-authored a book. If it's Douglas Hofstadter, I'm assuming. I'm skeptical of essentialist claims about these things.
so Douglas Hofstadter, American computer scientist.
Right.
Interesting. But he wrote Gudel Escher Bach,
Right.
I'm a Strange Loop,
And
The Mind's Eye.
he credited The Mind's Eye with Dan Dennett, who was a really interesting philosopher who I once went climbing with.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
fun. He was one of the four horsemen of the atheist apocalypse.
That's right.
Yeah. That's fun. He passed away, what, 10 years ago? Something like that?
I think sooner than that, but yeah, he passed away some time ago. He was an interesting guy. Okay, there's just no way I'm going to be able to do this one.
Climbing with Dan Dennett. That's a fun story.
Well, it was with a friend of mine who is who's sort of a world-class rock climber that he teaches at UNLV. He used to teach at Notre Dame for many years, and he's friends with Alex Honnold. I don't know if you know who that is.
No.
That's the guy who climbed
Just
El
wanna see you crush your
Capitan.
top score.
He's the guy who climbed El Capitan.
Oh,
without
yeah. The
ropes.
free climb.
Yeah, the free climb guy. Yeah. So
'Cause that was the documentary.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
I suppose your son, you learn about a lot about climbing.
no, actually, I learned about climbing from my friend who is a world-class rock climber at the age of, I think he's 65 or 66 now, and he's climbing. I don't even remember. 15 point. I don't even know if I don't know if, but it's really hard rocks that he climbs. His name is Bill Ramsey, so you can look him up and you can figure out what the truth is about him. But he's friends with Alex Honnold, so Bill invited me to go climbing with Dan Dennett.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Oof.
So
That's a high score, though. I mean, you got to be feeling good about that.
I think if I was not distracted,
It would be much easier.
it would be.
I agree.
I'd probably be better.
I agree.
But yeah, this definitely has the feel that I've sort of topped out, and I'm not going to be any better than that.
It's time to move on to something
right.
else. All right. I should pose a question for you. Man, what should I say? Because I'm going to set up the other system. Do you have a favorite equation? You don't work with equations often, but do you have a favorite?
I do. My favorite equation is the opportunity cost principle, the opportunity cost equation. And it's basically the difference between the result. So if you think about the result of, so to take a choice you make, you get a payoff for that, for the choice you make. You choose, suppose you have 3 envelopes, you choose an envelope, has $5 in it. So you're $5 richer than you were before. What's the opportunity cost of choosing that envelope? Well, it's the difference between that choice and the best alternative choice you might have made. So if there's another envelope that had $1,000 in it, then the difference between those two, and that, suppose that was your best choice, the envelope with $1,000, then you're choosing $5. While you're better off than you are today, the opportunity cost of that choice was $995, because you could have been $995 richer than you are had you made the optimal choice. Now, had you chosen the $1,000 envelope, that was your best choice, and the next best choice was $600 envelope, then the opportunity benefit of your choice is $400, because you're $400 richer than the next best thing you could have done. Now, here's the thing, that's a really simple equation, but people don't appreciate the importance of it. And in fact, I think that understanding the practical benefits of that equation is one of the most important things a good critical thinker can do.
Wow.
So, for example, suppose we're arguing about the war. And you are arguing that the war is going to make things, so take the day before the war. You're arguing that things are going to be better eventually than they were before the war started. I'm arguing no, things are going to be worse than at the time the war started. If that's what we're arguing about the wrong question. What we should be arguing about is not whether, because again, think about the envelope case. You are better off with $5 than you were before you chose the $5. It was still a dumb choice because there was another envelope that had $1,000 in it. And if you'd have just looked in the other envelopes, you'd be much better off than you are now. So the question isn't whether the war is going to make the world better tomorrow or worse tomorrow. The question is, given our options, whether this makes the world better or worse, is there a better option?
Yeah.
And as long as you're not asking, so as long as you're not asking the right question, it's easy to snooker you. Because if I am, really persuasive at convincing you that the world's going to be better or worse, again, it can go either way, right? If I'm getting you out to ask the wrong question, hey, the world is going to be better than it was before the war started. All right, still that should not convince me that it was a good idea. Hey, the world's going to be worse than when the war started. That by itself doesn't convince me it's a bad idea, because the question is, what's the best thing we could have done, and how does this compare?
Yeah. So Amy has a follow-up. I feel disappointed in myself for not realizing the opportunity cost is an actual equation and not just a theory, and I'm currently in your class. That's awesome. So what's the equation again?
It's just the difference. So you make a choice. So think about it in the envelope case, right?
Yeah.
So if you just think about money as the payoff, it's the difference between the payoff of your actual choice and the best alternative.
I see. It's the delta to the optimum solution.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
And so if that's a positive, that is, if your choice was worse than the best option, then you've paid an opportunity cost. If your choice is the best option, then you have an opportunity benefit. And so everybody who's ever studied an economics class has learned about opportunity costs, but I think few people actually understand the practical implications of the opportunity cost principle, because every aspect of your life, right?
Dating.
Absolutely.
Dating is a huge opportunity cost.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's relevant to the sunk cost principle as well, right? Because costs that are in the past, right, no matter what you do, you're paying those costs no matter what option you take.
Yeah.
And so
Oh, it's embedded inside of it then.
that's right.
Yeah, wow,
That's right.
that's
It's
fun.
embedded inside of it.
All right. Speaking of costs, Cuddle Puppy has a follow-up. What's your opportunity cost for appearing on this stream?
Napping.
Exactly.
Probably napping.
But Amy has redeemed Take a Drink, and we are out. So what do you want to try? What's next?
I think you should choose maybe something. Yeah, something aggressive. Something
Aggressive or weird?
something weird. Oh,
The pumpkin and the pickle.
pumpkin or pickle. I'm gonna let you decide on that one.
I'm genuinely curious about cucumber
Okay.
fermented alcohol.
And by the way, I teach tomorrow at 9:45. So any of my students who are they're going to if I seem slow tomorrow,
Yeah, this is my fault. I take full
they'll know
responsibility.
it's because I'm doing this instead of napping.
All right, so we're busting out Urban Artifact Pickle, I think is the name of it. It's called. It says Reward the Curious. It's 4.3% alcohol, and it says it's all ale brewed with cucumber and spices.
All right.
So we're gonna try something weird. Amy, thank you for redeeming. Take a drink. This is your teacher drinking pickle beer on stream. Not only is he drinking pickle beer on stream, but we're doing so while he plays Mario Kart 8 for the first time ever.
No, I played Mario Kart. Well, yes, this version.
This version of Mario Kart.
Yeah, I played it with my kids.
So you played the Wii version. So
Yes.
This one, I think the new stuff is going to be, there's going to be some bumpers there. Delicious. All right. I mean, I'll just set you up with a Grand Prix DCC, but you get to pick your character. So this one's going to be your controls. Either of those will tell you which direction, and then A is how you select. All right, hopefully you guys can hear. Maybe I'll bump it up a little bit so you guys can hear the volume. All right, we got to catch up on some things. Cuddle Puppy, what's your opportunity cost for being on stream? Thanks, Cuddle Puppy. Always a pleasure to have you here. I think the opportunity cost will come to fruition tomorrow.
Yes.
After we have pickle beer.
Yes.
Oh, man. All right, here it is. Oh, look at that.
Oh,
Animal Crossing Parrot. I don't... The cards do different things, but I don't think it matters. Just pick what you think looks pretty.
So which is the pick? Okay.
A button. A again. So A. Yep.
All right.
You got them. Might as well start with mushroom, the one you're on.
All right.
Okay. Let's give it a shot. I honestly don't remember the buttons. I'm assuming A makes forward, B goes backwards, and then triggers are for firing things, but we'll figure it out as we go.
Yeah.
So we didn't necessarily dive into the Hofstadter, where you sit on the idea that fundamental cognition exists in the capacity of the form of analogies. Is there a quick answer to that one? Because he has a follow-up.
So I think that I'm very skeptical of claims about essential to pretty much anything. And so what I would say is that I don't think, I probably disagree with him. I think that I don't know that there's anything essential to cognition. I think it's just if you think about it in terms of biology, I think that a lot of non-humans are capable of thinking quite well, and I doubt they're capable of doing analogies. And so I would say probably not, but I haven't. But it's not my real area. So I would not bet a ton of money that I'm right on this.
But you take anyone that claims essential to anything, just in general, that's an all-encompassing statement.
It's a generalization. I tend to be skeptical. I mean, there are certain definitions where I guess that if you said that that being unmarried is essential to being a bachelor, I guess I would go, yeah, sure, but that's because it's a definition. But I tend to be skeptical of essentialist claims.
That's fair. Is Donkey Kong sentient? Asking the hard questions here.
Not when I'm driving him. Not when I'm driving him.
Thank you. This is why we stream. We need to ask the important questions. By the way, if anyone was curious, this is pretty terrible. This is like,
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
it's like pickle juice mixed with Budweiser.
That's right.
I mean,
But pickle juice is, I guess, what Gatorade used to be, right?
oh, is that true? I didn't know
I think
that.
so. I think that's what.
I mean, it's got electrolytes, but this is holy crap.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
That has an aftertaste that I was not expecting it
Yeah.
should have.
It's pretty bad. But 17-year-old me or 21-year-old me would definitely be finishing that sucker.
Yeah, if you don't want to finish it, let me know. I'm happy
No,
to
that's all
dump
right.
these out. All right. Contra has a pretty lengthy follow-up, and I'll try to read through this. We'll do our best. Steiner suggests that there is
Wow.
a precognitive faculty that creates its reality by forming precepts that are then exposed to brain thinking, whereas Hofstadter identifies this as a recursive function. Steiner associates this as a difference between the soul's observation and formation of precepts that are then exposed to the thinking of the brain mechanism. Could you give me your thoughts on this idea? You can read that if you want.
Yeah, no, my thoughts are.
Oof.
Actually, I do have thoughts on this, but it's not going to be on topic really. I think that, from my perspective, I make it a rule to do philosophy that I can explain to a smart high school student. And that's the kind of philosophy I do. And so I don't know Steiner's views, and it might be the case that if I were to study Steiner in more detail, I would be able to explain Steiner in a way that I could explain it to a smart high school student. But I don't understand this well enough to be able to give you a smart answer. So some people find this might find this sort of frustrating about me, but I think that it's really important that when it comes to philosophy especially, because it's so easy to get lost in language and end up just doing things that aren't really important in the end. It's really important for you ultimately to be able to bring it down to, okay, what difference does this make to, and it doesn't have to be something especially practical, but just what difference does this make to something that's important to our understanding of the world? And I do realize that, you know, some highly theoretical mathematics might not answer that question, and some highly theoretical philosophy might not be able to answer that question. But the way I do philosophy, I have to be able to answer that question in order to be able to do philosophy. So, and look, this probably hasn't been great for my career, quite honestly, but in my view, all the views that I've defended, I can explain to a smart high school student. And so, you know, if you want to know how should you think about happiness, you know, how should you think about, you know, policy when it comes to these things, how should you think about relationships? All of these things, you know, I have views on, and all of them I can explain to a smart high school student.
That's fair.
So
All right.
what's the
Keep going, probably A.
All right. So this has to be like the easiest level, since I think I just won.
It's 50 cc. It has pretty flexible.
So this is much easier than Missile Command got hard pretty quickly. But this one,
all old games were harder than modern games. There's no there was no easy.
well,
setting back then.
just wait till you see the next one. So you might change your mind.
All right, Secret Agent 29. Thanks for being the guinea pig, so I don't have to taste test that one. I mean, Secret Agent. I mean, how many times can you say I tried a pickle beer? So there's a link in chat if you guys want to check it out. It's from Artifact Beer, and it tastes like pickles mixed with beer. I mean, it's fermented from presumably a source that's pickle, cucumber related. Oh my god. Contra says, thank you. That wasn't unsatisfactory. That was beautiful in my opinion. Would you please talk to us regarding your views on happiness and policy? Ooh, as in policy, as in political policy? Can you mandate happiness? Can you encourage it?
Sure. So happiness. So I think probably yes. I don't know how to do it exactly, but but I sort of have an idea how to do it theoretically. So the first question for me is and going back to Santayana, right? This definition of a fanatic: having lost sight of our goals, we redoubled our efforts. So what do we want from a theory of happiness? One thing you might want is a theory that answers to your sort of intuitive judgments about happiness. So if I have a theory that doesn't sort of intuitively make sense to you, you might say, well, that theory sucks because it doesn't intuitively make sense to me. And I think a lot of philosophers would do that, but that's not how I do philosophy. So for me, the way I think about philosophy is, okay, so what problems do I want to answer when it comes to thinking about happiness? So here's a problem. So one of the reasons I'm interested in happiness is that when I was young, I was not very happy. So when I was in my 20s, early 20s, really, I wasn't very happy. And my mom, who's still with us, she's like one of the happiest people I know. She's just extraordinary. It's not that bad things don't happen to her. I mean, my dad died a few years ago, so it's not like bad things don't happen to her, but she's just able to sort of power through it. Anyway, for me, the question is, so here's a question. Why is happiness so easy for some people? Right? So if I want a theory that answers that question. I want a theory that answers the question, why is happiness so hard for other people? Right? How is it that I'm able to be quite happy now, even though I wasn't happy in my 20s? So for me, a theory of happiness should answer these very practical questions. All right, so another thing that I think a theory of happiness should do is make sense of the fact that we're actually pretty wise about happiness. We might not know. So if I ask you to define what happiness, you might be flummoxed, or you might come up with an answer that I could then destroy because I'm a philosopher and I'm good at destroying theories of happiness. And yet, if my friend does this, they're going to probably not be happy. And if I think my friend needs to do this, and I think they'll be happy. And you're probably pretty wise about that. Let me give you an example. A funny story. I was at one of my friend's wedding. This was years ago, and we were having drinks, and the maid of honor was sitting next to me, and she, we're all sort of toasting to the happy couple the night before the wedding. And the maid of honor, she toasts and she sits down, and under her breath, she says, "I give him a year."
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, my mouth's on the floor. It's like, I give him a year.
Yeah.
They lasted 13 months.
Accurate.
But here's the thing. What did she know? What did she know? Well, what she knew was that they had very different approaches to money.
Yeah.
Extremely different approaches to money. And and she was right. That's what destroyed
She
them.
told you that at the wedding?
Yeah.
Wow. She gave the rationale too. Mm-hmm. That's evidence-based decision making right there.
But I also think that answer gives us some idea of thinking about, what is it that we know when we know about happiness? Mm-hmm. And I think the answer is we know how it works. Right? We know, doing one thing will make us happier, doing another thing is going to make us unhappy. So we know how happiness works. So for me, the question is, well, how does happiness work? And the way happiness works is you get caught when you're happy. So first, let's start with some bad ways of thinking about happiness. Let me play again. Some bad ways. So I think the biggest mistake people make in thinking about happiness is they think about it in terms of emotions. They expect to feel a certain way when they're happy. And I think this is a mistake for lots of reasons. But the main reason, practical reason, is that your emotional system has a function, right? The reason we have emotions is not so you can feel good. It's so that you is to give you information about the world, right? So when you're scared, it tells you that your emotional system is getting you prepared to deal with danger. When you feel disgust, it's because your emotional system is giving you information about the nearby world that, hey, stay away from that. It could make you sick. When you when you feel anger, it's because somebody is disrespecting you or is making is taking away something of yours, and again your emotional system is putting you in position, is sort of automatically to behave in a smart way given that particular challenge. Positive feelings are the world telling you, hey, this is good, you're gonna, but not necessarily it's good in sort of a biological sense. So it was good for your ancestors to be able to continue surviving, to eat more fat or have more sex. Now in the modern world, that's not necessarily a good thing to do, but so if you think of your emotional system as having a function and not sort of there for some sort of sign that your life is going great for you, then you'll realize that when your life really is going great for you, you shouldn't expect to be feeling like you're in a constant orgiastic riot. You're not going to, you're not going to constantly be, feeling wonderful. You're not going to constantly be feeling pleasure. That's not what a happy life feels like. And so that's the first thing I would say, is that you need to not think about happiness in the wrong ways, because if you think about happiness in terms of pleasure, in terms of how you're going to feel, there's actually some evidence that people who think about happiness in that way tend to be less happy, especially when their life is going well for them. And that's because they feel disappointment, right? So your life is going well for you, and hey, I'm not feeling the way I ought to feel. And is that all there is? I've got all these things, I've made it, and yet I don't feel any different than I did when I was struggling.
Yeah.
And so this way of thinking about happiness, I think, actually tends to lead to unhappiness.
You're describing basically the entire tenure process.
Yeah, that's right. I thought before I had tenure, man, life is going to be so awesome when I get tenure. And then no, it's
so anticlimactic.
It really is. And it's like that with so many things, right? You get that job that you're hoping for. You start that relationship that you've been dying to have, and after a few months, it's like, okay, well, this is a real relationship. It's my idealizations about this other person turn out not to have been true.
Yeah.
So how do you think about it? I think the way you think about happiness, a good way to think about happiness is I coached soccer here in town for a long time, and everything I know about happiness, I pretty much learned while coaching soccer.
That's fun. What age group?
I started when they were young. I started when they were like 5.
Okay.
And I kept coaching until they were in their early teens.
All right.
I was a pretty popular coach, I think. They kept inviting me back to coach. And so here's the way I would think about it. You'd have a kid show up, and the ones who were easy to coach were the ones who already had experience playing and they were good at it. Maybe their parents, and all you had to do with them is not like crush their spirit.
Yeah.
But then there were other kids who were there and like they weren't sure they wanted to be there. And it's like, and with them, it was, So here's the first thing. The way when you're happy, you will standardly you will feel like you're caught up in an enjoyment, mastery, success cycle. So when your life is going well for you, when you're doing something that you enjoy, say playing an musical instrument, or you're or a sport, or studying something, things are going well for you. When you're feeling enjoyment, you enjoy what you're doing. It leads you to master what you're doing, and it leads you to have some sort of success. And that enjoyment, mastery, success cycle is what it feels like subjectively, I think, typically. I mean, you to be happy. So what I was trying to do with the kids in soccer is to try and get them into that enjoyment, mastery, success cycle as soon as possible. And so, it was like, I would teach them some basic skills. Wow, you're really good at that. Have you done this before? And, I had these tricks. I would have them do high five, and when they would high five me, I go, ouchie, ouchie, And with the little kids, they love that, right? It's like, oh, I slapped him so hard, I hurt him, and so they're laughing and they're having a good time, and they're getting better, and as soon as they start getting better, it's like you and enjoying themselves, and starting, you can get them caught up in an enjoyment, mastery, success cycle. All right, so that's the first thing. Individuals, what you want them to do is get caught up in this enjoyment, mastery, success cycle. But it's not, enjoyment, mastery, success cycles are typically not just you, but also you can think of enjoyment, mastery, success cycles as involving relationships. So there's evidence that when you're in a relationship and it's a healthy relationship, it actually improves your relationship skills. And so you can, so being in a good relationship all by itself makes you better at relationships. So if you think about the team playing, there are also sort of positive grooves for the team, right? So the team can and sometimes your best players are actually hurting the team as a whole. Because, right, they're trying to help other players, and so they're not playing their position, or they are, or they yell at other players who aren't as good as they are, right? Why aren't you, And so you have to somehow get the whole team to get into this sort of positive groove, playing together, trusting each other, playing healthy roles in a relationship with each other, and so if you so that's for me the analogy. Now, of course, you can be happy and not have a lot of mastery. So my music, my pathetic music career is a good example of this, right? I had a little bit of mastery, but mostly. And success I get to define on my own, right? So I had so much enjoyment, in the music that I did. So let me give you the worst band I was in. Like the worst band I was in was, in some respects, my favorite. I was the only one who knew how to play a musical instrument, and there was 3 of us. There was Roberto, who played the bongos. There was Fred, who I taught to play a one-fingered bass on an old guitar. Right. And we would go around and play serenades to Latina women that were friends of ours. And I don't know if you know this, but the bongos is not a traditional serenading instrument. So we would go and we learned
the tone. That's for sure.
we learned 2 songs, and we would go and and this is in the United States where this is not common. We would go and stand outside people's houses, our friends' houses, and we would play. And the parents were usually Latin Americans, and so they knew what to do. They would let us in. They would let us in their house, and they would serve us like snacks and drinks. And we always got lead in the house. I think it's because they were worried, because Rob insisted on long bongo solos, and
Neighbors.
and the neighbors. Yeah, I think they were worried that the neighbors were going to call the police.
Or judge them accordingly. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Oh man, that's fun. I'll tell you what happiness is not, and it's this beer. You guys should check it out. Urban Artifact Pickle Beer. Oh my God, you finished it. Now I have to. Oh man.
I think we're going to have enough electrolytes, though.
Oh my God.
To last the
For
week.
something. It's going to be interesting smelling urine. I'm fairly sure that's going to happen.
I sort of feel it in my ears.
Oleomex, thank you for the follow. Sorry I didn't notify or acknowledge you earlier, but thank you for following. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy your standard internet units. We'll put up a prediction sometime soon. Actually, let's put up one now. Which one do you want to do? Top one? That's a fun.
That's a good one.
All right, we are going to put up a prediction right now. If you're not following us, click the follow button. You can unfollow us later if you're not excited, but you will get notifications about future streams. We only stream every other Wednesday night, so they won't be often. But when you get them, you will know exactly who our guest is. You can also follow us on Twitter or Discord or whatever it may be. You'll see our upcoming guests. But we're going to put up a prediction right now. And so, Kopp, Galileo, Kepler, and Newton, did at least one of those individuals identify themselves as a scientist?
Copernicus, Galileo, Kepler, or Newton?
Kopp. Yeah, I know. That was good shorthand. That was good. But yeah, there's your prediction right now. Click the predict button at the top of your chat. You have standard internet units. If you're not following, click follow. You get more internet units, but you can basically bet on your answer. Your degree of confidence will dictate how many points you put down. So you can do more or less depending on how confident, but you definitely should do a prediction. This is mostly for pride, but also you can make us take a drink. You can make us, you can request a factoid. You can unlock emotes, but you should do that. Click those buttons. Yeah. Did they consider themselves scientists? Did at least one of them, Copernicus, Galileo, Kepler, or Newton? Oh my God, that's horrible. that's too much.
Well,
I mean, honestly, if there was more alcohol, it might cut it better.
yeah, it's true. Or at least you wouldn't care as much.
Yeah, that's true. I should have thrown some vodka in there or something. All right, should I find another one? Oh man. Whew, that'll wake you up. I mean, it's only 9:30. That's fine. We're halfway through the stream.
There you go.
Time is fine. We're having fun.
Yeah.
How you feeling about the gaming? This
Well,
version of Mario Kart?
well, I'm terrible at it, but because we're playing simple, and I don't know how to throw these things. I remember you were supposed to throw
triggers. There's triggers under the.
That's all right. I don't need to throw them. I'll just
Pass
because I will not. If I actually do anything more than just try and stay on the road, I'm not going to be able to talk.
Oh man! Speaking of following up on the happiness conversation, Matt Tisner Robert has a glasses half empty view. In my opinion, happiness is how efficiently one can blast through the stages of grief.
Ooh.
the antithetical.
No, I think there's something to that, because so if you think so I was talking about it's a really interesting point, because I was talking about what it feels like, right? Enjoyment, mastery, success. So from a subjective perspective, but if you are a coach or a parent or a teacher, you know that the way you set up an environment can influence the happiness of your charges. And so one way to think about what was his name? The person who made that comment? Is it Matt?
Matt isn't a Robert.
Yeah. Okay. Is that bad things happen to everybody. Right? So it doesn't matter how happy you are. Bad things are going to happen to you. You live long enough, bad things are going to happen to you. Your loved ones are going to pass away. You're going to have failures. You're going to have frustrations, and being able to bounce back is really important. And so, how do you bounce back from those things? Well, so just like being happy involves getting caught up in sort of a positive groove, I think being unhappy not just sort of in the moment, but having an unhappy life is getting caught up in a negative rut where the bad things in your life sort of bring you more bad things. And so one way to understand Matt's comment, sorry if I'm not getting his whole name right, but
No worries.
one way to understand his comment is that there's two parts to leading a happy life. One is being happy, and the other one is not being unhappy. Because there's some evidence that you can actually be happy and unhappy at the same time. And the way I think about it is that they're two different kinds of processes. Positive grooves are one thing, and negative ruts are a different thing. And negative ruts, that is where. So let me give you an example. So, loneliness. Loneliness isn't just you not having people around. Loneliness, when it really becomes a problem, is you view the social world as a source of difficulty, awkwardness, unpleasantness, and this causes you, anytime there's something out there that is a source of difficulty, you withdraw. When you withdraw, you are more socially awkward, and so people treat you sort of as if you're more socially awkward, and this just confirms your view, right? Because it just leads to more difficult, awkward, unpleasant interactions with other people, and so this just is more confirmation that, hey, the social world sucks, and cause you to withdraw more, and so you get caught into this sort of negative loop, into this negative rut. Another example that is big with young people today is anxiety, right? So anxiety, you feel anxious about the way things are going to go, and this causes nervousness. And look, your emotions, as I said earlier, have a function. And one thing that an anxious mind will do is pay more attention to potential sources of danger or awkwardness or difficulty. And so so you end up getting caught up in this cycle of anxiety.
And in some respects, that's an evolutionary advantage.
That's right. It can be that's right. In certain environments, that is definitely an evolutionary advantage. For most of us, if we're wealthy enough to be playing cool video games,
drinking pickle beer.
That's right. Well, drinking pickle beer, it's probably not. But again, the point you're making now is really important, and that is the environment is really important. And so what you want to do is be in an environment in which, choose an environment if you can. I mean, when you're a kid, you can't choose your environment, but choose an environment in which, the good things you bring to the world pay you back with good things, right? And so so one reason I think Matt's point is really a good one is that you want to be in a situation in which, when bad things happen to you, they don't drive you into a negative rut. Right? You want, and so I think that's really important, because being happy is really two things: getting caught up in positive grooves and avoiding and staying out of negative ruts.
All right, so the prediction is closed, everyone. Thank you for getting your answers in. So Copernicus, Galileo, Kepler, Newton, at least one considered themselves a scientist. True or false?
That's
Mike,
false.
what's the answer? The answer is false. 95% of the betting went towards false. Congratulations, you guys knew the answer.
Wow.
You didn't get a big payout. It's too bad it wasn't true. That's a 21 payout.
Right.
All right, Mike, why is that false? We'd consider them scientists, but they did not consider
That's
themselves
right.
so.
They most of them, certainly Newton, consider themselves natural philosophers, and that's because the term scientist didn't really get used until the 1800s. It's usually credited, and I don't know this for sure, to William Whewell in the 1830s. So all of those, what we would now consider to be scientists, were pre-1830. So yeah, they wouldn't have used the term.
Yeah, I remember looking that up at one point. It was like if an artist does art, obviously a scientist does science. It was something like
Right.
that, the origin of it.
Right.
They needed a name for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, William
Whewell. William Whewell is how you
Whewell.
pronounced it. Yeah.
1833 is what Google AI is telling me.
All right.
Natural philosophers. I mean, that's why I have a doctorate in philosophy.
There you go.
Doctorate in science. I have a bachelor's in science. I don't know what that says about me. Man, where is that? I don't know where I heard that story before. That's fun. An NPR article on the origin. But yeah, I'm glad they came up with a name. That makes sense. All right, so Copernicus, Galileo, Kepler, Newton, this word scientist didn't even really exist back then. So congratulations, those of you that said false. Alchemists laid the groundwork for science, but science doesn't necessarily care about alchemy nowadays. I mean, we kind of broke alchemy though. Like with particle accelerators, we literally can turn lead into gold.
It's true.
And so, and then when you think about like most of the pharmaceuticals you take, those might as well be witchcraft, right? Because we're just mixing stuff in a pot and stirring the cauldron, and then magic appears. So, I don't know.
You know, Newton was famously did alchemy. Did
Did a
experiments. Did a lot of crazy
He
things.
was out there, yeah.
He slid a blade behind his eyeball once to show that it would cause him to see sort of lights in his field of vision. He also wrote to John Locke, a famous philosopher, accusing Locke of trying to embroil him with women. And Locke, to his everlasting credit, wrote to one of Newton's friends and said, "I think Newton's gone crazy. You should go check on him."
Yeah.
And sure enough, he went crazy for a year, and they now think it's he poisoned himself with mercury.
Oh, wow. He did the Mad Hatter speed run.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. That's fun. But there are still some self-defined alchemists doing some interesting work, such as bioorganic farmers. And there's some, garage, like, geneticists, biochemists, splicing plants. I mean, that's a fun biology, not necessarily alchemy. That's pretty fun. All right. It's Rohit. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for joining us. 8 minutes ago we go on conversations, but I'm glad. Thank you for joining us. If you have questions, throw those in chat. I'll be excited to hear from you. As an alchemist, he would have been playing too much with Quicksilver Mercury.
Indeed.
I mean, the liquid form of mercury, it turns out, isn't that bad. If it goes to vapor phase, that's when you're in trouble. So if you heat up mercury and it starts to vaporize, then it's really in trouble. One that's really bad is alkyl mercury. So if you have carbon coming off of mercury, that stuff is terrible for you. In fact, there was a professor working with dimethyl mercury, and it's permeable to some gloves, but she got a drop on her finger, and it ends up methylating your DNA, and she just basically decomposed biologically over about 3 months. So she tracked all of it. All of it's documented. You can see it from losing, ability to speak, the ability to see. It just, So there are forms of mercury that are really bad.
Did she get better?
Nope. She ended up dying from it. There's no reversing those methylation processes. Wow. So it can go right through gloves. Depending on the gloves, there are specialty gloves, but 1 drop of dimethyl mercury. So know what you're working with. And Newton did not necessarily. So who knows what form of mercury. But he recovered, recovered. I mean, he died a virgin, if I remember correctly, right? Like, he wasn't going to have women distracting him.
Yeah. I don't.
I had my mercury amalgams removed yesterday, and my mouth is still sore as we speak. Yeah, mercury fillings, that's I don't use those anymore. Secret Asian, new fear unlocked. Secret Asian, actually, methyl mercury, if it's exposed to water, it turns into mercury oxide and all sorts of stuff, and it's fine. So unless you're intentionally handling it, you will not accidentally come across an alkyl mercury. It'll decompose in air. So don't lose too much sleep about it. Or have fun, whatever floats your boat. Not pickle beer. Should we try another one?
Sure.
All right. What should we get? Something normal? Something not weird?
Whatever you think is best is fine with me.
So we got a lager. We got the Ghost in the Machine we brought over. We have a Origin of Darkness.
Ooh, yeah, that sounds good.
All right. Next beer on our taste testing tour. Which is a fun idea. I'm glad in splitting it too, we're not getting overwhelmed with alcohol. Which is
Indeed.
kind of nice. Now that is dark. All right, so now we've moved on to Origin of Darkness. This is from Collective Arts Coldwater Brewing Company. And this is a... comes out of Hamilton. Nope. It's from Virginia, Stowe, Virginia.
Huh.
Where is the description of this? Port barrel aged imperial stout with Vidal ice wine. 10% alcohol.
Ooh.
All right, so we went from pickle juice to this. It's gonna hit hard.
Yeah, it's gonna...
Amy wants to know, what is your favorite topic to teach in reasoning and critical thinking? Oh, that's a fun one. It hasn't changed over the years.
Actually, probably politeness, just because it gives me the best opportunity for an embarrassing joke. So,
It's fun when those land.
yeah, it's not the most important one, but it's one of the more intuitive ones. I might only teach it because it's because of the joke. So the general idea is that the social world can conspire to give us unrepresentative information. And there's various ways in which the social world can do this. One way is that people are polite. And so nobody has yet, as far as I know, commented on how much I suck at playing video games.
I don't know, you're winning races, so...
Yeah, well, this is really easy. I insist on...
No one needs to know that.
Okay. So people are polite, so they don't tell you when something isn't working, right? And so as a result, we might end up thinking that we're better at things than we really are because we haven't gotten accurate feedback. And so the joke I tell all my classes is, an example of this is, I have yet to meet a man who thinks he's a bad lover. And the women tend to chuckle, and the men are like, "What?" And once, when I told this joke, this was very memorable. There was a man and a woman sitting over on the right side, and she was like holding her mouth, trying to stop from laughing, and the dude was turning bright red.
Oh no!
And I just, I did not make a comment, but in my head I was like, okay, I think I see what's happening there. So that's probably the famous one, but my favorite one, but only because it allows me to tell the best joke that's sort of slightly ribald.
All right, Secret Asian has a follow-up on the conversation. In high school, my physics teacher panicked because they left the room and came back to students playing with mercury. They thought it was cool that it melted in their hands. Oh, I don't know how long ago that was, but that was not an uncommon practice. With that said, if it melted in their hands, it probably wasn't mercury. So mercury is always liquid at room temperature. What you might be thinking of is cadmium. It's a metallic transition metal, but cadmium will actually melt in your hand because the temperature that it needs to melt is just above room temperature. And so the warmth of your hand is enough to turn it into liquid. And so they have all sorts of pranks about making like a cadmium spoon and it melts in your drink and kind of thing. But I wouldn't recommend eating cadmium either. So, but yeah, fun fact. All right. Matt isn't a Robert. Makes me wonder if we're shunting scientific growth for fear of undermining superiors.
Huh.
That's an interesting, and this is one we debate with, like, when should you retire from the sciences? Because one of the problems is it's not necessarily that junior people are scared of doing oppositional opinions to senior people.
Right.
It's that senior people have an influence on the purse strings and are more likely to get funded.
Right.
Right. And so the longer someone stays in the game, the longer they'll control those purse strings.
Right.
Uncle Bill, welcome back. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining the stream. Talking philosophy of science tonight, talking about happiness and cognition and awareness, drinking some pickle beer and a stout. This is a thick stout.
It is. It's tarring my insides as we speak.
Chewable stout. Science plus money equals conflict of interest. I mean, science cannot exist without money, so I don't know. Science with the motivation of profit maybe would conflict of interest, but we need the money, that's for sure. Fun fact, we spent 2,000 NSF career grants per day in Iran over the last, 38 days?
Yeah.
NSF budget once a week.
Yep.
But we won't get into that. Anyway, yeah, we up for, here's a comment from Mac Merlin 408. I've been watching the Artemis 2 mission, and it's really striking how much nothing surrounds us, but the sun's specific relation to the moon happens to propagate life on Earth.
Huh.
Nothing surrounds us is right.
Yeah. So I have a comment on something somebody earlier said. Actually, two comments. One is, do you know what the Planck principle is?
Principle? No.
Yeah, Max Planck, famous physicist, of course.
Planck's length, and yeah.
That's right. He made an important discovery for quantum mechanics, but he never accepted quantum mechanics.
Yeah, that's an interesting dichotomy.
And so the Planck principle is that, and this is a principle I think that actually probably applies to social change as well. Scientists seldom actually change their minds. When consensus changes in science, the Planck principle says it's because the oldsters die and new people who have the new opinions sort of take over.
Oh, so close. Yeah, the classic line, science progresses one death at a time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Classic.
And the other one is, so in the 90s there was something called the science wars, and I was in graduate school when the science wars were really hot. Oops, I think I did, my foot may have just, anyway.
No worries.
And the science wars were between mostly philosophers on the one hand and historians and sociologists on the other, about whether science makes progress, whether science heads to the truth, or whether it's just, like politics. And this professor of mine wrote what I think is one of the most interesting articles on this topic. And he said, imagine you are the monarch of science. So you get to distribute the resources of science in however you want. Okay, so you resources, money, lab space, talent, et cetera, et cetera. You get to distribute all the resources of science however you want. Now, suppose there are three theories. One theory is clearly the best today. One theory is promising, and one theory is just hopeless. Here's the question. Would you put all the resources into the best theory today?
No.
No, you wouldn't.
You balance it. It's
That's
high
right.
risk, high reward versus
That's right.
guaranteed
That's
progress.
right.
Yeah.
And so if you were monarch of science, you would not put all your eggs in one basket.
Yep.
So then the question is, okay, so there's no monarch of science, obviously. So how do you maintain a diversity of opinion in science? Well, one way you do it is by allowing some dirt into the mechanism. The way you do it is by, right, so we often have this idealized view of science as, it's conducted by these hyper-rational, hyper-intelligent, and they do tend to be very intelligent, but hyper-rational, where they only care about following the scientific method, and they only care about the truth. And the reason the science wars were going on is that the historians and sociologists were looking at the history of science and saying, that's not how it works. Right? That's really not how it works. There's a lot of politics and religion and all this stuff when you look at the history and personal animosities, and so my old professor's insight was, hey, it's all this dirt that allows for this diversity so think about it this way. Suppose there's a very important molecule. This is his example, a very important molecule, and we're trying to figure out its structure. There's two ways we might do it. One, we might take pictures of it, or we might play with toys. Well, it seems like that clearly the best way to do it is to take pictures of it. But you still want Watson and Crick playing with toys, even if they are stealing Rosie Franklin's data, right? But you want some people playing with toys so that you know, if that turns out to be successful, that somebody is successful. So what you're interested in, so having a little irrationality, so having some science driven by sort of what you might think of as, you know, greed, or, you know, a desire for Nobel Prizes, or, you know, for personal enrichment or whatever, fame and glory. Having that stuff in science is not a bad thing. It's actually the sort of dirt in the mechanism that helps the mechanism run better.
Yeah. Some dark horse betting in science.
Exactly.
I like it.
Exactly.
All right. I'm going to put up a prediction as continuing our transition, because we're almost at 10 o'clock already. So it's been 9:50. How are you feeling about Mario Kart?
Oh, good, but I'm happy to do something else.
It's totally up to you. I'm going to put up a prediction right now for you guys. If you're not following us, click the follow button right now. You'll get a bunch of standard internet units. You can force us to take a drink, which we will get to in a second. Or you can unlock emotes, or you can do quest to factoid, whatever it might be. But yeah, thank you for the follow. Secret Asian, thank you for the follow. Junior 17, thank you for the follow. We're going to put up a prediction right now. Click the predict button at the top of the chat. We're going to ask you guys the question. Perception of happier people. So when people see you as a happy person, is that a social detriment, or is that a social benefit for the individual that it's perceived as being happy? Is that right? That frames it. All right. So you guys have 2 minutes to answer this question. If someone perceives you as happy, does that work in your favor, or does that work against you? Is it a social benefit, or is it a social detriment based on perception of your level of happiness? So you guys have 1 minute and 30 seconds to pop those answers in. Man, should we go way back in time on this? Is it time to switch to
sure, if you want to.
All right, maybe we'll wait for this prediction to be done. Okay. Oh man, but we are taking a drink, so cheers. Yeeticus. Mike, cheers. We are drinking some called Origin of Darkness from Cloudwater Brewery, and it is dark. It is quite dark and very thick. This is like distilled Guinness.
Yeah.
Like take half the water out of a Guinness and it's this one.
I think I might put it on my pancakes tomorrow.
Does have a sweet little aftertaste to it, which is kind of fun. All right, put your predictions in there now. Click the button. Depending on your degree of confidence, you can say it's a detriment or a benefit, whatever you guys are feeling like. Note you're on Ask a Scientist Gaming honor policy. No Google, no Chat GPT. Just answer based on what you know or what you've learned from Mike's Mario Kart gameplay. I don't know if that's going to help you. He seems happy playing. Is it a detriment or a benefit? Answer accordingly. The term for dirt in the mechanism is dithering, which was a term coined for the realization that airplanes in World War II ran better once there was a low-level vibrational noise introduced into the system. Huh. Wow, that's where dithering comes from. I did not know that.
Wow.
That is, I learned things from chat, from streaming. That is amazing. Particularly that I don't like this particular pickle beer. All right, Mike, what is the answer? Perception of happier people. Is it a social detriment or a social benefit?
It's definitely a benefit.
Social benefit. That is a 27-1 payout to those that said social benefit. Congratulations.
I think we have a lot of contrary people on.
We had a cynical audience.
Yeah, the evidence suggests that if you are happier, people think you're more competent. They think you are more likely to go to heaven. They think you're more likely to you're friendlier. They're socially more adept. It's definitely an advantage for people to think that you're happier, and this leads to one of those sort of positive grooves that I was talking about, because when you're happier, leads other people to treat you better and to think more highly of you. So this just confirms that, hey, the world is good, the people are nice, and you get caught and it helps promote a positive groove.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we're going to give a bit of a backstory. Congratulations on those of you that got the 27-1 payout. That's a pretty high. Congratulations, you guys bet on the dark horse and won. Dirt dithering, we'll count it. All right, I want to give you guys some context into our next game because we're jumping way back. In fact, we're jumping back to 1977. And so when I emailed Mike saying, what do you want to play? He's like, I don't play any video games, but back in the day, I played one in particular, and it'd be really cool if you could find it. And that thing is this right here. So this was one of the first games that you had.
Oh, it was definitely the first game that I had.
So this is Mattel Classic Football, a handheld LCD screen-based game. It was released in 1977. As far as I can see from the history of handheld gaming, this was the second handheld game. The first one was called Race, and it was released a year earlier. It was successful, so Mattel followed up with this guy right here. And so, yeah, we're going to play this, but we don't have the handheld version. But I did find a version that shows up in Commodore 64. And so we're actually going to play the Commodore 64 version of that. But before I do that, I got to show you guys a cool website because I was looking up emulators for handheld games. And I found this webpage. You guys should check it out. It's called RetroFab. But it has a whole bunch of these handheld retro games. Some of you might recognize them from different time periods. And so you can play these online whenever you want. What I really like is the mechanism. Like, they did their homework on putting this together. You guys can see they actually have the like handheld emulation aspect of this. So you get to actually move it around. You can tilt the screen like when we played back in the day and you had the reflexes. But it also is really fun because it lets you control the buttons. And so in this particular case, you press the buttons and it shows them moving on the screen, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, you guys should check this out if you're interested in retro handheld games. But yeah, we're moving way back, 1976. We're going to play classic football, but we're going to do it on the Commodore 64 emulator. So let me get this. So if you click start, let's get rid of the joysticks here. Full screen it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are jumping way back. Here it is, football on the Mattel Classic. Turtles in a half shell, absolutely. All right, so Mike, you want to explain this game?
So this is really stupid. So I'm the little guy on the left, and that's the defense, and you just keep running past the defense, and the strategy is to try and fake them out to get them. So you move up, and then they're going to start moving, coming after you, and the strategy is to get them to. So you want that last guy?
Need a lane, and each forward step is 1 yard.
I just got crushed because I didn't find a lane. So you need to find a lane, and then you need to try and get them all on one.
And then S for scoreboard.
Yeah.
So that tells you how far you got 2 yards.
2 yards
on the 22-yard line.
All right.
13 minutes remaining. This may be, Mike, you may hold the title for the oldest video game we've played on stream. I don't think we've played Pong before, but I guess arcade ones aren't that far off. 1980 was Missile Command. So yeah. Now this looks like a video game. Absolutely. Nickname PhD. Thank you for joining us. All right. While you're playing this game, easier or harder to talk while playing this?
This is easy because I'm gonna not really worry too much about.
So when was the last time you played this game?
This was 50 years ago. This was probably 50 years ago.
It's gonna come back quick.
I don't know, but so yeah. So all you try and do is you need to find a lane. So there you go. Oops.
Oh.
See, I went forward instead of down. When you're holding it and you know which way you're. Well, kids today, you guys know, with the phone, right? You can your thumbs are quick. My thumbs were quick. Oops. How do I go down?
Even through.
I'm trying to Barry Sanders them, but I'm not having much success.
So I don't know if anyone's deconstructed this game, but as far as I can tell, the defense has just an RNG. Each dot moves every second, either up or down or sideways. It's not directed at you, right? It's just
No,
random.
I think it is true.
It might bias forward versus backwards.
I think it's I think it is directed towards you, because the trick is, if you have decent at this, what you eventually do is, I'm going to see if I can get past them. Is you rest down here and they will all start going towards the bottom.
Oh, interesting.
They all
do
start
have
to go to the
bias.
bottom. Yeah, and then you can escape up top.
Huh.
So see that. So I'm going to wait here and see if they all start heading generally to the top. And then once they get close to me, oops.
So Mattel Auto Race has a speed run, but Mattel Football does not. I like it. All right, Uncle Bill said handhelds weren't really a thing in earliest days unless you count displays of layered transparencies and a dim backlight. I mean, we count it, right?
Yeah, I don't know what I don't know what the heck this was, but it was a terrible game. I mean,
Oh man. But if you go on eBay right now, you could own this game. All right. Secret Agent 29 wants to know, is there a concept or thought you wish everyone knew or considered? I mean, so we talked about the opportunity cost.
yeah. If, yeah, here's one. How do you, if you want to learn something so that you remember it, psychologists actually have a good sense of how you do that. Most students, so one of the things, so I teach my classes, my students will know, in a really weird way. Nobody really teaches like I do. I don't lecture anymore. I used to lecture, and I was actually half decent at it. I could put on a good show. But I don't lecture anymore. I don't give midterms. I don't give finals. And one of the things that I'm trying to do in my class is teach my students how to master material. And I'm sort of trying to force them to do that. And the way you do that is not by sort of thinking about your not by thinking about the material, like going over your notes. There you go.
Touchdown. Cheers. First try.
There you go. Yeah. Well, I mean, this is not a hard game to beat. You just wait for them to open up, and then you just have to be quick enough to break through the line.
We'll count it. GG's.
So here's the idea. Most students who are trying to master material sort of have the information going this way. They're reading their notes. They're trying to remember it. Really, what you need to do is have the information going the other way. So what I tell my students is, hey, if you can explain this material to your smart friend, or to a smart sibling, or to your parent, when you can do that, you will ace my class. If you're trying to get by my class by memorizing things and just cramming, or by using short-term memory but not really understanding it, you're not going to do well in my class. So in some sense, that's what I would like people to know is if you philosophy is easy to master. My class it's easy to master the material in my class. Most of my students master the material in my class, but the way they do it is I'm constantly forcing them to sort of use the material, use what they know, and giving them reasonably quick feedback about whether what they understand is actually right or not.
Oh, no, I use the same strategy. Like, try to explain this to your grandma.
Yep.
Because the dirty truth is I didn't learn general chemistry till I had to teach general chemistry, right? Like,
Absolutely.
I didn't have to do it till 15 years later, and then I had to actually learn it.
Okay, so now I'm the offensive player going the other way.
So you're competing against yourself. I like it. I appreciate classes that focus on comprehension rather than memorization. You should take my general chemistry class. I actually moved almost entirely away from calculation-based problems to like concept. How do these variables relate? If this goes up, what is the response here? What would the graph look like between these variables?
Yes.
Because students can plug and chug the hell out of math problems and have no idea why.
Right.
So yeah.
No, and I actually think that, so this relates to another issue that I think a lot of teachers are worried about, and that is what to do about AI.
Yeah.
Because it turns out for most of the tests I gave probably in the first 15 years of my career, AI could get an A. And so, right, if you're asking them like basic philosophical questions to explain a basic philosophical concept, AI can do really, really well. So one thing that I'm really interested in is what value can I add to my students?
Yeah.
What can I get them to do that they can't do just by asking ChatGPT a question?
Say what makes them slightly better than AI.
That's right. That's right.
Right, yeah.
And one of the reasons I think, although I can't know for sure, that my students tend not to use, and they can confirm here if they want, that they tend not to use AI in taking the quizzes in my class, is that they're confident they can do better than AI.
That's awesome.
And again, I might be totally wrong about that because I don't ask them, but they're anonymous here. If any of them are still with us, they can confirm or deny.
That might also be a short-term strategy. Say the AI is getting better.
Yes, it is getting better, but yeah. But I think this is a problem for us teachers to think about.
Amy says, I don't use AI on my assignments. So you at least got one. How big's your class?
It's big. Well, both the two classes are about maybe 45, 50 people.
Okay. So at least 2% of the class does not use AI. All right, Contra says, I've been reviewing your chemistry class on YouTube, Dr. Hansen, and bless you for uploading it. Oh, absolutely. So I do an active learning strategy where they have a video before, and then we do questions in class. And so, yeah, anyone can check out my lectures on YouTube. It's nuts and bolts, and then I start my class with like, here's context-based why this is useful. Here's where you might see it in your daily lives. And then, yeah, we just do clicker questions. And what I like about clicker questions is there can be more than one right answer. There can be alternate ways to get to the right answer. And you can, it's not as much of assessment as being formative, more than an assessment in itself. All right, Contra has a long one here. Dr. Bishop, with regard to more Eastern philosophies regarding removing one's satisfaction or happiness from the storm and stress of the material world in order to attempt to have a complete management over it that is only dependent upon self-defined satisfaction. So detaching your satisfaction and happiness from what's around you and having it entirely self-defined. While I like this philosophy, my one caveat is that it creates a sort of narcissism, which I feel I've seen displayed many times. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I do. I mean, my first thought is I am not an expert. I am so far from an expert on Eastern philosophy. So anything I say about Eastern philosophy, I'm faking it. So that's the first thing to know. Second thing is that I actually think that when it comes to Western philosophy, one of the problems is, and this I would include this, I would include my views on this, is that we don't take into account the extent to which how well our lives are going is dependent on our environments, and so. If you were looking at, so suppose you were looking down at somebody's life from on high, or a group of people's lives from on high, and you could see like the causal connections between the good things in their lives, and those were sort of bright, and the causal connections between the bad things in their lives, and those were dark. And on my view, right, the more bright causal connections that you have going, you can think of it like an engine, the happier they are, the more dark causal connections they have moving around, the more unhappy they are. If you were to look at that and from on high, and you were just to say, what's the natural unit that bears these causal connections, I'm not sure it would be the single person. It's probably like a community, or you play a role in a sort of set of your family, your friends, your department, your colleagues.
Speaking of which, I just saw a research study recently that found that children have gained the most happiness not by having a piece of candy, but sharing a piece of candy.
Yeah.
And this is amongst like 3 and 4 year olds, right? And so
Right.
it does imply that, right?
Yeah. Well, it's
The sound effects are spectacular.
Yeah.
Did the original have the beeping?
Yeah.
That was part of it? Okay, that's perfect. All right. Oh, Amy had a follow-up on using AI in class. To be honest, it takes a long time for the AI to understand how to answer the question the way you word them. I tested it giving one of our reading assignments and gave me wrong answers.
Interesting.
I mean, that's a fun act. I just reviewed a paper for Journal of Chem Ed out of UF where they have students generate questions that AI gets wrong.
Right.
And so you have to know the content well enough. And yeah, so it's fun exercise. And prompt engineering is no joke.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to ask you one of my questions. We just crossed 10 o'clock. Anyone just joining us, Ask Scientist Gaming, Mediocre Gameplay, Expert Science. I'm Ken Hansen. I'm a chemist, photophysicist/photochemist. Joining me today is Mike Bishop. He's in the Department of Philosophy at FSU, Philosophy of Science in particular, very interested in happiness and rational thinking, and likes to teach classes, teaching to students to think about things and how to debate and how to discuss and how to argue and things like that. So if you guys have any questions, throw those in chats. Contra as a follow-up, that's a beautiful answer. My bias is that I was raised in total isolation by a cultist narcissist. And so there was no community integration for me without a complete overhaul of fundamental principles. That is brutal.
Yeah.
I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah. I mean, I think, so one thing that's really important to me is like being a parent, right? So from my perspective, this is how, for better or worse, I thought about being a parent, right? So what you want to do for your kid is put them in an environment in which sort of they bring good things into the world, and because you're so much a part of their world when they're young, the world gives them good things back when they bring good things into the world. And so you want to try and get them into that positive groove. So when I taught my oldest to play soccer, he could barely, he was just walking. He was less than 2 years old, and he would kick the ball without shoes on, because I wanted him not to kick with his toe. And so he'd kick the ball, and if he made a goal, it was a really easy goal to make. We would celebrate if he made a goal, and if he missed it, we would celebrate. He missed again, and he would celebrate equally whether he made the goal or missed the goal. Because from my perspective, what I really wanted was for him to enjoy the process of just playing the game. And so it wasn't, oh, well, you screwed up, little kid. You didn't shoot the ball at the goal. It's more like, hey, you're having fun. And so, because one thing that I would say is that in my coaching career, I never saw a player get really good who wasn't having fun. Mm-hmm. And so, so this comment is sort of a sad one, but a true one, in that parents play such a big role in the environment that their kids get raised in.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that makes sense. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming on 10:15 now. So we're going to put up another prediction right now. This one's going to be about Mike. So we're going to figure out what we learned about Mike based on his gameplay in classic Mattel football, or whatever you might have encountered during the stream. So Mike has had interesting personal experience. What is more likely to have occurred to him in his lifetime? Falling down a mountain or crashing in the rainforest? Which of those two events is more likely? Any more?
Crashing. So falling down a mountain in the Andes.
Yep.
Or crashing in a cargo plane in the rainforest.
Which one is more likely to have occurred for Mike? Based on what you've learned from the stream thus far, pick your answer. Click that predict button. Put as many points as you believe this answer to be true. Which one is more likely to have occurred? This is an outstanding question, by the way. This is just like out of nowhere. What might have happened? Turns out your brother's on stream, just betting heavy.
Yeah.
Even know the
yeah.
answer.
Yeah. There will be people who know the answer.
Yeah, but your students are going to learn something about you tonight, presumably.
Well, I do often tell these stories with pictures because in both cases I have pictures.
Yeah, that's fun. All right. We should probably try the pumpkin beer. Right?
Yeah, I
We
think
should
so.
close with it.
That sounds good.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, while you spend the next minute answering this question, again, click the predict button. If you're not following us, click the follow button, get your standard internet units. This is entirely for pride. It really doesn't matter if you get it right or wrong. We will celebrate you either way, just like missing a goal. Nonetheless, get your bets in there. All right, we're moving on to Dogfish Head Craft Brewery Pumpkin Ale, Brown Ale with Pumpkin. And so there it is. What's the percent alcohol on this? This is 7% alcohol. Yeah, brewed with real pumpkin. So this isn't just pumpkin flavor added, but this is actually brewed with pumpkin. So we're going to see how this one goes. Pumpkin beer can be yummy. True. I believe it. We'll see if this one is. Contra says this dogfish is good. So we're going to give it a try. All right, Mike. So what was more likely to occur for you? Falling down a mountain or crashing in the rainforest?
Crashing.
Crashing in a rainforest. Congratulations, who picked crashing? You got a 1.24 to 1. That was a pretty big bet towards crashing in the rainforest.
Really?
They were confident you looked like a rainforest crasher based on something they learned. So there's a backstory. Both of these are true.
Right. So when I was, I think I've said my mom is from South America. And so I was raised, she still only speaks to me in Spanish.
Oh, wow.
And so on the, so I was in Ecuador. I was maybe 20 years old, and a friend of the family invited me to go to the Amazon jungle. And when you're 20 and somebody invites you to go to the Amazon jungle, you say yes. So we went in the Amazon in a helicopter to the Amazon jungle. We landed in this place called Lago Agrio. Then we went to a place called Montalvo, which was just this long airstrip. And bless you.
Oof. It's pollen season here, ladies and gentlemen.
That's pumpkin-y.
Accurate description.
Yeah, that's very pumpkin-y. So Montalvo was just this long airstrip, and there was nothing there. We were at the fork of a river, and so me being 20, I said I want to go back to Lago Agrio, which looked like a big town. Maybe I could drink a beer, meet some people. So I asked a helicopter pilot if he'd take me to Lago Agrio, and he said sure. He was heading that way, so we went. Walked around Lago Agrio when we got there, and it turns out it was just bigger. It was no more interesting. In fact, there weren't bars because they did not allow drinking, because this was basically this was a town that was run by the state-run oil company, and they didn't want the oil workers getting into fights with each other.
Yeah.
So there was no alcohol. So I just said, I'm going to go back to Montalvo, or at least I know people. So I go and I asked the guy who runs the airstrip, can I go to Montalvo? And he said, we have a plane leaving in 20 minutes, another leaving in 4 hours. So I said, I'd like to go on the one in 20 minutes. He said, can't give you permission to go on that plane. So I did what any good Ecuadorian would do. I went and asked the pilots if they'd let me go. And they said, sure, but you have to be macho to go on this plane. You have to be brave. And I said, why? He said, well, because this plane has already had 2 accidents. Now, I did not understand probability at the time, so I was like, I'm going to be really safe, because what's the chances that a plane would have 3 accidents? Did not understand conditional probability. So I hop on the plane. They let me out in front, so I'm sitting between the pilot and the co-pilot. Then these army dudes were in the back, and they rolled in these big barrels full of helicopter gasoline. That was our cargo in this plane.
All right.
I didn't, I was young. Wasn't thinking about it.
Yeah, we got plenty of fuel.
We got plenty of fuel. So we take off and we're flying along. I didn't even notice anything. I'm just watching them. It's really interesting if you're ever in a cockpit because if you're used to driving a car, you're used to seeing a lot, but they don't really see very much out of
it's
those
pretty
darn
small
little windows. Yeah. So anyway, the first thing I noticed that was a problem was the guys in the back started like looking out one of the windows, and they were not happy. These were army dudes, and I look out the window, and this cargo plane had two propellers, and one of the propellers had stopped, and we were losing altitude. And all of a sudden, I'm like, is Bernoulli's principle a real thing? I really have my doubts about this. Heavier than air flight, I'm not sure is really possible. And we're losing altitude, but the pilot and co-pilot are talking as if nothing's happening.
All right.
So I tap the co-pilot on the back and I say, "Excuse me, but do you know you've lost an engine?" And he looks out really coolly. He looks back at me and says, "Yeah, we do that every 10 minutes to let it cool." Which made me feel about this much better. It didn't really, and so I'm like,
strategic.
Yeah. But sure enough, it kicked in. We landed. I kissed the ground. And I felt like, I'm never going to fly again unless it's absolutely necessary. And later that day, it was absolutely necessary.
Oh my God.
We were going to a town in almost Colombia. And this town was, so we're flying, and I asked, now I'm scared of flying. And I'm in a cargo plane. This time I'm in the back, and there's a curtain between me and the cockpit. And I ask how long it's going to take. He says like an hour and a half. Cool. I'm in the back. There's like 8 dudes and me in the back, and we're flying along. And this guy says, about 45 minutes into the flight, we start losing altitude, but not in the pleasant way they lose altitude in the United States, but in herks and jerks. We're losing altitude, and it's like, this is not an hour and a half. And we're maybe 100 yards above the tree line. And we're getting pretty low. And the co-pilot comes back, and he closes the window, and he says the following: "Por favor, ponerse los cinturones de seguridad porque queremos que encuentren los cadáveres en sus propios lugares." Which means, please put on your safety belts because we want them to find the cadavers in their proper places.
Get in your assigned seat.
And so I'm looking at him like, crack a smile so I know you're effing with me. Nope.
Oh, wow.
Turns around, goes back, closes and now I'm shaking. I'm shaking so much that I can't actually click my seatbelt. And so I just tie it around me and hold it as if that's going to do good and do anything in an airplane accident. And we keep losing altitude, and we're like 20 yards above the trees. And I remember at one point I just got really calm. And I thought, this is what it feels like to be in an airplane that's about to crash.
Yeah.
And the plane ends up like, I was expecting to hit the ground, but the trees stop. We hit this dirt runway. A little tiny hut whizzes by. Sort of dust is, and the plane sort of slides to the end of this runway.
Jeez.
I jump out, and I ask the pilot, "Where the heck are we?" And we're in Siona. I later find out Siona is not the name of a town; it's the name of the native people who live nearby. And so. The plane was stuck in the mud, and we got rope to pull it out of the mud, and we couldn't. And so there was a tractor knocking down trees. The tractor pulled the plane out of the mud. We took off. Everything was fine. 11 years later, I asked the guy who had invited me if what the heck, what was up with that flight. He told me 2 things that were sort of interesting, 2 facts that were interesting. The first was, he said, "You remember when we were stuck in the mud?" And I said, "Yes." He says, "We didn't turn off the engines." And I said, "I don't remember that." He says, "We were a little worried that we weren't going to have enough fuel to get to our final destination if we were stuck in the mud for very long." And so I said, "Well, why didn't they turn off the engines?" And his answer was, because they had left the battery in the other airplane.
They were relying entirely on an alternator. That's amazing.
So that's the first. The second one perhaps less surprising, 11 years later, there were two pilots, two co-pilots, three of them were dead from airplane accidents.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez. Well, cheers. We're glad you're here.
Yes,
Now you
indeed.
get to tell a story about crashing in the
Indeed.
rainforest. So thank you all for joining us. All right, we got about, I don't know, 10 minutes until we start playing some NARC. You want to keep doing this? Do you want to dive into hearts? What do you want to do?
Oh, hearts. Yeah, I can do hearts.
All right,
Yeah.
let's change it up. We're going to go with some hearts. Oh, give me that. All right, close that guy. All right, we're going to play some hearts. So this is one you just casually, you play hearts regularly.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they gave me a nice hand to start with here.
That's perfect. Well, while you dive into this, Secret Agent has redeemed Crest to a factoid, but I'm going to first ask one of my favorite questions I like to ask of every guest. Well, there's two of my favorites. One of my favorites is, we've seen a lot of movies and TV shows that are somehow tangentially or directly related to our expertise. And we are absolutely astounded how well they do it or how much they get it wrong. And so the question for you is, what movie or TV show has gotten your discipline right and what has gotten it wrong? So this is either a portrayal of a professor or of a philosopher or of happiness in general. What is your expertise made you scream or celebrate?
I've never been happy with the portrayal of philosophers on TV. I know there's some new shows where Julia Roberts plays a philosopher.
Interesting. What is that?
Yeah, and I can't bring myself to watch it because already what I hear is, I mean, she's
a professor,
she's a philosophy professor. Yeah.
After the Hunt.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
And just from what I've heard is like she lives, she makes tons of money. She dresses extremely well, and she constantly talks in terms that nobody can understand.
Yeah, the sweet philosophy dollars.
Yeah, exactly. The last philosopher who actually made a lot of money, I think, was Thales, who cornered the olive market back 2,500 years ago.
Julia Roberts playing Ayn Rand.
Oh my, yeah. But in general, I think TV shows do badly capturing academics. I think we're way more boring than they think, than people think. I don't know what your opinion is about this, but and we don't talk like that. And so I have yet. I mean, I think there was a show that did really well with philosophy. What was it called? It had Ted Danson in it. I only saw the first couple seasons, but what was it called?
Come on, Google. Not Cheers.
No, if you put philosophy show, it'll come up.
Oh, didn't spell that right. The
Good Place. Yeah, the Good Place actually gets a lot of philosophy right.
Oh, that's fun.
I don't think. I mean, there is a professional philosopher. He's very handsome, and sort of clearly sort of takes good care of his body. And I think that's somewhat unrealistic.
Not the Cat in the Hat. Got it.
Right. But yeah, that gets the philosophy right at least.
That's fun. What about a portrayal of happiness or general dealing with happiness in the human condition? Is there anything that jumps to mind?
That's a good question. Not really, I have to say. I'm a big fan of movies, but for me, most of the movies that I'm interested in have a story to tell that that's sort of interesting and surprising. So one movie that I think is quite philosophical in sort of a straightforward way that I wish more people knew about. It's one of my favorite movies. It's a little long, but it's called Matewan, Matewan. It's hard actually to, yeah, that's it.
1987.
Yeah, it's a
I've
John
not
Sayles
seen
movie.
this.
And John Sayles is one of my favorite directors. And it's not easy to watch. That is, it's not easy to find, this movie. But it's about the Coal Wars. And it's based on a true story. And it has characters that did exist. But it sort of tells us. So when I ask my students, do you know what the Coal Wars are? Almost none of them know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's not streaming.
No, it's not on streaming. It's hard to find it.
Yeah. Get a DVD for $54.
Yeah.
Maybe you might have to buy a DVD player. But no, that's fun.
Yeah, but that's a great movie. It was Chris Cooper's first, I think, breakout role.
Oh, Contra, did you just say you found it? Is that on a legitimate streaming site? Any thoughts about the Peaceful Warrior film?
Ooh, I don't know that one.
Have you seen Peaceful Warrior? I will find a link to that one too. Peaceful Warrior. So that's 2006. So we'll add that to the list. Dan, a college student and a world champion gymnast, is disturbed and wants to add some meaning to his life. A chance encounter leads him to discover an enlightened way ahead. That's fun.
Yeah.
Nick Nolte. All right. I like it. Contra said not legitimate. So it is streaming somewhere on the internet. Not necessarily somewhere I'm willing to share on stream.
There you
but Google streaming website, followed by the name of any movie you want, and you might find something. All right. That's fun. So capturing philosophers is still cliche.
Yeah. I mean, there's a stereotype about philosophy that I think is not true, and yet I think we philosophers deserve it, because so much philosophy is us talking to ourselves. But if you actually, but again, from my perspective, a lot of philosophy, you can't, it's possible to explain it to a smart person who is just interested.
Yeah.
It's not extremely convoluted and complicated and difficult. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, some people like it to be, though.
Yeah, and if it is, I think you do better finding different philosophers to read. If you read somebody and they don't and they can't explain how this is relevant to an issue that's important, not necessarily practically important, but just important, go find somebody else to read. Somebody just ran everything. So
I was going to say, how are you doing in Hearts?
Well, the thing about this particular Hearts game is that they're not great at being heroes. So I'm playing as the AI here, and AI is a pretty good player. But what they don't do is they don't do. So do you know how Hearts works?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So each heart is worth a point. The Queen of Spades is worth 13 points. You don't want points, or you want them all. That's the way it works. So when somebody tries to get them all, so why do I still have this heart here, and why might I keep it for a while? This ace, even though it's going to get me a lot of points, it's because I want to prevent somebody from getting all the aces. So this person over here is looking suspiciously like they want to run the table. So so I'm going to hold on to that ace of hearts and be the hero. And take some points so that not everybody gets 26. The the players I'm playing against are not great at being heroes, for example. Yeah, so he didn't have any hearts, so he ended up taking them all. And the other players are not good at stopping people from running them.
I see.
Running the table.
So they don't run that strategy.
No, they don't.
Contra says one has an easier time watching Matawan if one uses a VPN to change their location.
Interesting.
Good advice. You heard it here from chat. Check it out. If you guys are interested in watching it. Thank you, Contra. Doing the dirty work. All right. It is probably time for NARC. Are you ready for this?
I am.
It's time to close out the night. Finish. I guess I'll close that off.
Yeah. I don't need to play.
All right, we're going to change back to this computer. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to close out tonight with NARC as we close out every single night, everyone's favorite game for the Nintendo Entertainment System. So you are on this controller.
Oh, that's right.
The Crippler, the non-ergonomic one. So wait to press start because I have to give you some backstory on this game because we need to know the lore before we dive into it. We also need the clock up in the corner. Anyone not familiar with the stream, we close every single night by forcing our guests to play the game NARC. And so NARC is a bargain bin game for the Nintendo Entertainment System. It came out in 1988. But fun fact for everyone that hasn't seen it, I have the NARC handheld version right there. So I set a new world record in NARC. I put it up on YouTube and somebody put in chat, I used to have the handheld one. I'm like, holy crap, there's a handheld one. And I learned it and I got it off of eBay. So I know how to hold the handheld NARC version. Couldn't find it anywhere online. What's kind of sad is a lot of these old games, they have old hardware in there that overheats. And so it only actually operates for about a minute when I put the batteries in. Nonetheless, it's fun that I have that handheld version in NARC. So we're going a full handheld night. But nonetheless, we're going to jump forward. NARC was originally an arcade game, then it got ported to NES. And so here's the NES cartridge. There it is, the NARC. It's supposed to be red, but they changed it to yellow because you can't have blood on Nintendo. But the catchphrase is, no one had the guts until now. All right, Mike, you are Max Force. Your mission, bust Mr. Big and destroy his dreaded criminal empire, seize all contraband, stolen money, illegal weapons, use rocket bombs, high-powered machine guns, apprehend all suspects, protect the innocent, punish the guilty, stop at nothing.
All right.
So press start, and we're going to win the war on drugs.
Wow.
Yep,
Okay.
exactly. Written and directed by Nancy Reagan. This game really changed the war on drugs. Clearly, we're winning. All right. Go right and hold A if you want to shoot bullets. Tap A if you want to shoot rockets. Hold B if you want to squat, which makes you go a little slower. And then tap B if you want to jump. The key to this game, doing it fast, is going to be tapping B and A while you're in the air. Go through that door and then go to the right. Find a card. Make Nancy proud. Absolutely, Uncle Bill. But if you guys have any last minute questions for Mike, he's happy to answer them while he wins the war on drugs. This is a pretty mindless game. Hold bullets, find cards, go through doors. Keep going right.
Oops, that's not the door.
You'll find another door. Clock is ticking. You're competing against all your colleagues. I think Jack Justice is the only one from your department that I've had on.
Right.
So you're either going to have bragging rights or he will. We're going to find
I'm sure
out.
he will.
We're going to find out. Yeah, Jack took his gaming very seriously.
He does take his game way more seriously.
Yeah, he was on the spectrum of earlier when I said, like,
Is this the exit?
Yep, press it and then go through. Yep. He's on the spectrum of, yeah, working hard. Oh, yeah, Secret Asian requested a factoid 12 minutes ago, and I completely ignored it. So you want to drop a knowledge bomb on the audience while you press right.
Yeah. How about it's versus it's with an apostrophe. It's is always, if it has an apostrophe, if you can you can replace it with it is. Otherwise it doesn't have an apostrophe. It's that simple. It's one of the simplest grammar rules you can come up with. And yet it is has an apostrophe. Everything else, no apostrophe.
If that was not a factoid for you guys, good for you, because you know how to use this properly. Just like your versus your versus your. Go up through to the right. There you go. So now these guys are shooting heroin needles at you.
Ooh.
You remember the 80s. This is how things were.
Yeah.
All right, so what you're going to do is shoot the guys wearing black. Oh, you can press both buttons and you can shoot the dog. So press both buttons down at the same time. Yep, there you go. And you're going to walk towards the guys wearing black and shoot them at close range with bullets. Oh, there you go, blue card. Perfect. Grab that blue card through the door. So that was random number generated. Grab that card.
This one, safe card?
Yep. And go through the door. I don't know why they say safe. That's an interesting... Put it in the slot because this game is realistic.
I don't know how to do that. Oh.
It's up. There you go. And through the door. All right, level 2 done. This game everything you hoped it would be. On the spectrum of what you played tonight. Missile Command, Classic Football,
Oh, I think
Mario Kart 8, and Hearts.
equally bad at all of them. I'm just.
But did you have fun?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I can't imagine. I can't imagine it's fun watching me be terrible at this. But
I can assure you they are not coming to see you play games. Instead, was to listen to the high level philosophy.
oh yeah, well they're probably disappointed by that as well.
Okay, go down to the car and you're going to press B to jump in, or tap B to jump inside the car. There you go. Press right. You're going to run into a wall, and that's perfectly fine. And then keep going right. All right, Secret Agent, that wasn't a factoid for me, but I loathe that it can't show possession like everything else uses using the apostrophe. I'm sure there's some deep-seated Germanic rule or some stupid thing that made it through English.
Yeah, I'm sure that's right. Is that like bad?
Yeah, those are bomb.
Okay.
Sorry, I should let you know the
That's
glowing
right.
whatever things.
Oops, I'm walking towards it.
Jump over that, tapping B. Perfect. Keep going right. Sorry, Secret Asian 29, that was not a factoid for you, but I'm glad you know the difference between its and its. I feel bad when reviewing papers because they say don't review grammar, and I still review grammar. Especially if it changes the nature of the claim, which is, I mean, that's really important. It's not just grammar, it's scientific at that point. But yeah.
How did I jump this?
Jump, tap B. There you go. Oh, tap. A little gentler on the push. Yep, there you go. Nice staccato. Secret Asian 29. Appreciate you educating the populace. It's bad out here for grammar. Fair. I have a feeling if you're watching an Ask a Scientist gaming stream, you're not necessarily having grammar issues, but I could be wrong on that. And I saw a claim recently. It was something like the average American is losing 338 words per year from their vocabulary due to short form media and like text messaging, where you're just not required to read long sentences or write different words. You abbreviate things, so it's slightly terrifying.
Well, one of my
That's awesome, Uncle Bill. It's possessive about its possessions. That's amazing, Uncle
That's
Bill.
nice.
Thank you. Oh, you can add that to your compendium of poems.
yeah.
That's pretty spectacular. Stand them, but yep, there you go. Keep going. Another dumpster going right. But yeah, if you guys have any questions for Mike, throw those in chat. We are going to keep asking while he tries to win the war on drugs as quickly as possible. Mike, question for you. You're not necessarily an experimentalist, but you might be able to envision some experiments relating to happiness, human perception, human experience. If you had unlimited budget, no moral qualms, and could do basically anything in research, what would you do?
I would. So one possibility, would be just to.
You're going to stay on the bottom once you get in the car. Tap B. Yep. There you go. Stay on the bottom and go right.
Bottom. This is the bottom.
Yep.
Okay.
Stay all the way. Yep.
I would be interested in seeing whether. Is this the exit?
Yep. That's the door right there. Into the nightclub. There we go.
So one thing I would be interested in seeing is, because a common thing you hear is more money doesn't make any difference to education.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would like to see, like, what if we just spent a boatload of money on education. So
like just to commit.
right. So what if we, you know,
That door right there.
oops. Right. What if we like got
So get that card and press up through the door, but not too much up because it'll put you in again. Left. See the slot there? Put it in there. All right. And then out the door. Perfect.
so for example, what if you like got the best chemistry professors in terms of teachers, and
It's a good qualifier to add.
right, and got them to you paid them like enough money to make it actually worth their while to teach
Door.
a high school class.
Left over here. And then you're going to shoot them at close range, so you don't want to shoot the whole time. So one of them's going to drop a green card. Shoot the guy in white. And green guy will come back, shoot him again. Green guy again. Sorry, shoot the green guy. Yeah, shoot
the guy in white?
Yep, and then green guy will come back. Eventually he'll drop a card.
Okay, so that wasn't a card.
Yep, you'll see it. It'll be a green card. You're going to do it with bullets. There you go, green card. All right, through the slot, through the door. There you go. All right, perfect. Uncle Bill, the adult bookstores are full of psychotic clowns. Absolutely. That's what's funny is like Nintendo's like, we're not going to have red on the cover art because that would imply blood, but like an adult bookstore is perfectly fine. The nightclub, perfectly fine. Clowns with knives, perfectly fine. But don't have a marijuana leaf on the growing greenhouse there. So yeah, that's Nintendo logic for you. But there is a version of this. I should grab the ROM, but there was an original version that emulated the original arcade game that does show blood, does show explosions, has all the marijuana leaves. It's something. It's called like Sean's copy because it was like a third-party copy of the game. But yeah, fun fact for NARC-related gameplay. That's Nancy logic. Yeah, absolutely. All right, through the door, go right. Oh, all right. Are you good on drink, or do you want anything else? We got about, I don't know, 14 minutes left in the stream.
Up to you.
Man. Is there anything you want to revisit?
Did we do the thing I brought?
No, we didn't.
Let's do that.
All right. Last drink of the evening, we have Ghost in the Machine Ale. This is from Parish Brewing. Parish Brewing is located in Louisiana. So this is a double IPA, and it is, let's see the percent alcohol.
Can we pause this for a sec?
8%. Yep. Go ahead.
All right.
All right. We will pause the game. All right. Ghost in the Machine. All right. I don't know if I'm going to be able to restart the clock. We're going to see. It might reset on me when I try to make it go again. But we will do our best. Yeah, 8%. Why not close the night with a double EPA? It can't be any worse than the pickle beer we had earlier. There's Urban Artifact. Check it out. 10:42:12. Thank you for putting that in chat. That will actually help me when I time this later. We can do math exactly. I think I can do it manually. I can't do it with my push button. Man, there's an undo split. All right, so we have here the Ghost in the Machine. Cheers, Mike.
Cheers.
Thank you again for joining
Thank
me.
you
Close
for
it out for
having
the
me.
final beer of the evening. Wow, it's 8%. All right,
Nice.
you ready? So press the start button whenever you're ready. We'll have to restart the clock, I think, but that's fine. 10:42 plus whatever we add on to it. Somebody's going to do the math for us. It's all going to work out perfectly fine. All right, last minute questions. If you guys have any, throw those in chat. Mike's happy to answer them while he wins the war on drugs. We got about 12 minutes left in the stream. You have this card. Just click the card slot and you can go.
Ah,
Literally breaking the speed run. No, Cuddle Puppy. We will do math, I promise. We are honest. We like to follow the rules on stream. We are talking to the fourth fastest 10,000 point
ooh.
missile command speedrunner. All right, you have that card too. Go with the slot.
Oops.
Press
Slide
that
it.
thing. Yep. So realistic. So did you miss? You may have been a little too old for Nintendo to hit hard. Like high school, maybe? Was that when that came out?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I didn't. I wasn't big into Nintendo. And yeah, so I
Hold
remember.
both buttons, you can shoot the dogs.
Oh, okay.
There you go. All right, keep going right. Also, if you go to the top of the screen, the dogs don't bite you for some reason. I don't know. Nintendo physics. Who knew? All right, so now that you're here, you're going to kill a bunch of things on screen. And eventually a guy in a wheelchair is going to show up. And that guy's Mr. Big, and you want to shoot him with a rocket. So tap the hell out of A. So you're going to shoot rockets. So not hold it, but tap it. Yeah, and I recommend being like middle of the screen. That'll give you the best odds of hitting him. But tap that A button. Just a nice little staccato. There you go. That's it.
Those dogs are really.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, somewhere in the middle. Shoot the guys on screen. The guy in the wheelchair will come back. The annoying thing is you have to do both base 6 and base 10. Yes, clocks are annoying. Yeah, I heard claims about base 12 being convenient, like that's what our clocks are based on. Also Baker's dozen thing, just because it's so divisible, right? It can divide by 6, 4, 3, 2. Like that's pretty unique for such a low number. And also knuckles, you can do math on 4 fingers if you count knuckles, which is kind of cool. But yeah, super inconvenient when you try to do speed run timing. Nonetheless, we do what we do. So you're going to have to shoot him 2 more times with rockets.
Oh, okay.
Taking prisoners in the drug war. Reagan is rolling in the grave at the missed opportunity for violence. Yep. Little gentler on the push. Pressing too hard. Yeah, there you go. Just bombard it. There you go. Nice. All right, we got to hit him one more time, I think. Man, is there anything I didn't ask you that you wanted to talk about? Oh, here's another good one. What does the Earth is flat or anti-vax equivalent in your field?
Oh, that is inevitably going to be. That's going to be controversial because, I mean, with philosophy, like.
Nice. All right. He's going to dissolve into a yellow card, and you're going to grab it.
Because philosophers are very clever at defending like wild views. So, so anything that I say is going to be controversial.
So top
very
of the
controversial.
screen, you're going to have to jump rocket him in the hat. So it's tapping B and then tapping A. So you're going to run to the right, get away from him. It's probably going to kill you. That's fine. Infinite lives, we cheat. Get some distance. And jumping helps you get away from him a little bit. So tapping, yeah, there you go. Get to the top of the screen, the tongues won't hit you. Oh, there it is. All right, rocket to the face. Holy crap. All right, come down here. That was way fast, ladies and gentlemen. Mike is not messing around. All right, go right. Get some distance. It's probably going to kill you. It's fine. Just hold right. Keep going. Keep going. Get away from him. Get away from him. You got to get some room. Otherwise, he's just going to steamroll you the entire time.
All right. So it was quick B, was it? Or
Move
quick
up here. You're going to hold bullets. And so it's between the two black lines is where you want to be. And yeah, when he puts his head down and get some distance, run away, turn around.
Is it bullets? Just bullets?
Just bullets, yep.
Okay.
There you go. You got one of the vertebrae. Let's turn around. This is exactly the right strategy. Run away. It's a fun game, huh? Turn around and make some room that way, and keep doing that. You will get rid of all the vertebrae. Also, if anyone has suggestions on people we should raid, please put those in chat. We will raid someone after the stream is over, preferably education related, but we're happy to explore other people as well if you guys have suggestions. If you're too high up, you can't hit them, so you have to go down for some reason, because Nintendo. The hard part's done, so that's nice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that jump rocket is the great equalizer in this particular game. So now it's just a matter of shooting bullets, so get some distance. You don't have to run towards them, let them come to you. Turn around,
okay.
Turn around, hold bullets, and just move up and down a little bit. Yep, just strafe up and down, and you'll hit vertebrae somehow at some point. Last minute questions. You can distract Mike while he tries to beat his personal best time. Well, not his personal best time, but his colleagues' times. You're sitting at about 17 minutes and 10 seconds right now, which is not a bad time. So move up. You can't hit him while you're down there for some reason. It has to. There we go. We got one of them. You need one more vertebrae, and the last one is easy. Oh, man. This is nice. This does not feel like a 8% alcohol. Come down a little bit. Turn around. Yeah, just down a little bit lower, and you'll be able to shoot his vertebrae. All right, press down a little bit. Squat. I don't actually know if the squat changes the position. It has to do with where he is on the screen.
Okay.
So you have to be like down a little
down
further.
this way.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm shooting past it.
Cuddle puppy. Would you rather be a philosopher of cognitive science or a cognitor of philosophical sciences? Philosophical sciences. A philosopher of cognitive science or a cognitor of philosophical science?
Oh, cognitive philosophical science.
go right,
even though
go
it
door.
doesn't exist, surely makes more money. Probably does the same thing. You probably do the same thing.
Oh, man. But of the jobs a philosopher get paid for, I guess a lot of philosophy students go to law school, right?
A lot of philosophy students go to law school.
Even med school, it's not unusual to take the MCAT
That's right.
and do well.
So do I.
Yep. So keep going right. You got one more level. What's your favorite philosophy joke? Keep going right. You don't need any of this. Just get to the
okay.
card.
Well, it's my favorite philosophy joke. Is a philosopher? It's a joke for philosophers for how you do philosophy.
Key slot. Get it?
But I'm not sure. Yeah. Oh, all right.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You won the war on drugs. Could have saved us trillions of dollars.
The important question is, did I win the war on Jack?
You got 19 minutes and 2 seconds.
I didn't.
I don't know
That's
what Jack's time was.
You said 17 something, I
I
think.
think. Let me look it up. I think his was really, yeah, he didn't mess around.
Yeah, I messed around too much.
1902. Thank you, Contra. We got the exact same math. I don't think we're going to go to milliseconds for this one. 1902 puts you in the top, almost the top 20.
Wow.
Which is actually pretty spectacular. Jack was 15 minutes and 25 seconds.
Wow.
But note also, he's like top 5. So
Wow.
we had a couple recent. Allison Wing got 1792, 1742. Yeah, so Jack was top 5, but you're top 20. That's no
That's not
joke
bad.
amongst the...
Especially since Jack gives more of a damn than I do.
Exactly. But among the 106 times, you are in the top 20, so congratulations.
There you go.
Cheers, you earned it. Now you get to put your initials in with that mutant finger.
Okay. How does the mutant finger move? I don't even know.
Just arrows, and then I think it's the A button. Bishop. Philosophy. We got 1902 is the time for guest 123. We're on the 123rd guess. Top 20 gang, let's go. You get to brag to your students. I mean, they got to see you be top 20 amongst the 105 that have done this so far. Rams Reef, that's fun. All right, that's it. It's 10:59, 1 minute left in the stream. Mike, congratulations. You won the war on drugs. You won a couple races in Mario Kart. You won a football game. You played both sides, but nonetheless, you won.
There you go. Inevitable.
That is a victory. You also got to revisit some Missile Command, getting 10,000 points in, what was it, 2 minutes and 6 seconds or something like that. I'll have to look at the actual time. But, man, that was a journey. How are you feeling?
Very, very nice. This went. You were right. This went faster than I thought it would. I was worried that. What helps that I was distracted. So there was probably long pauses where I wasn't making any sense that I don't remember. I was focused on the game.
My advice is never watch the YouTube video. we'll say that for everyone else.
The thing about the YouTube video is that my voice always comes out wrong because I have in here I sound like James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
But for some reason the technology never gets it right.
I mean, yeah, no, it's Cat in the Hat. it always goes full circle. Nonetheless, oh, that's fun. A music streamer. Thank you for the suggestion, Uncle Bill. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to close out the stream with that. I'm going to call it a successful night. We went through a bunch of video games and a whole bunch of topics throughout the night. Mike, thank you very much for joining me. It's always a weird ask to just email people and say, do you want to play video games and talk about your expertise? You were particularly hesitant because you haven't played games in a while. Nonetheless, it was an awesome time. We visited
thank you so much.
Many different games. Any parting words for the audience?
For my students who are still here, get a good night's sleep, and you guys take care of yourselves.
That's perfect. All right, Yeet, thank you for the shout out for a great stream. Thank you for joining us, first time Chad. Hopefully you did follow us, so you'll get notifications about future streams. Speaking of future streams, April 22nd, our next guest will be Dr. Dan Hallinan. He is a professor in the chemical engineering at FSU. He studies polymer engineering, making polymers for particular properties, in particular ion transport in batteries. Most batteries have some kind of liquid electrolyte. He wants to use plastics as that electrolyte. By electrolyte, I mean the thing that transports charge in batteries. Liquids aren't great for that. That's why they start on fire. So if you can do it with plastic, that is amazing. He's also interested in other things like CO2 capture. So check us out 2 weeks, April 22nd to 8 until 11 p.m. We'll be here as usual. Follow us. If you're not following, you'll get a notification 2 weeks from now when we go live. So yeah, hopefully you'll come and visit us. Cuddle Puppy suggests you give them reverse extra credit. You take points away. What were you guys doing, watching video games instead of studying? Cuddle Puppy, thank you. Always a treat. All right, Mike, thank you very much. We'll close out the stream. We'll raid some other nerd-friendly streamer, but yeah, it's always a pleasure. Your guys' questions, discussions, it always makes it an amazing time. We really appreciate it, and hopefully we'll see you guys again in 2 weeks.